It's basically, you ever go over to somebody's house and watch their home movies? People don't do that much anymore. But back in the day, you go over and watch
only
a few
when they're
home
asleep.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sincast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Sincast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
That's me.
That's Jeremy.
Hi.
That's you.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Scher.
Yeehaw!
Yeah.
Wow. Enthusiasm.
Yeah. That was visceral. Just came out.
That just came out.
It's been another week, which means there's probably something else we're pissed about.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I'm as mad as hell!
You've never seen me very upset.
Lord Jesus! Lord Jesus!
Imagine.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do mine because mine's stupid. You probably have better rants than I do, but so I went to go see Hustlers on Thursday night, and we are supposed to have a mini pod of that, I think, in the next couple of days or whatever, because we're going to be starting to do that more.
Awesome.
And everything.
Overall, good?
I didn't like it.
Okay.
I will say that the reviews for this movie are way above what I would have given it.
Okay.
But Hustlers wasn't really the problem for me, but in this rant anyway. So I get in around showtime or like right when the trailers are about to start. And it's actually a fairly packed house. I bought a ticket that was closer to the front, and there wasn't anybody when you go and do your reservations or whatever, there wasn't anybody on that row. And so I bought one right in the middle, and I sat there and watched trailers, and I was like, I need to go to the bathroom real quick. Let's go to the bathroom. And I know as soon as I got up, and I know as soon as I walked to the bathroom and I saw people walking past me, somebody was going to be in my seat when I got back.
Oh, because it's a packed.
Just knew it was going to fucking happen. I wasn't gone long, but I knew in my heart of hearts, someone was going to be sitting in my seat. Now, this wasn't a big deal. I got back. Yes, sure enough, there were people sitting in my fucking seat. We're in the days of reserving seats.
That is
true. You
true.
know what seat you got. You wait. So there was no big deal. I came over and I said, I think I'm in 7. And they were like, oh yeah, sorry. And then moved down 2 seats or whatever. And I was like, why was this an issue?
Yeah.
Like, I understand sometimes, especially the way theaters mark these seats, it's hard to see sometimes. You'll go up there and you're
sometimes.
it says 2, but it also says 2 over here. Like, sometimes you're just like, does that mean it's, sometimes it's hard to know because they'll say 2 and then 3.
Yeah.
And then so you'll be like, is this one 2 or is this one 2? So anyway, in this case, it shouldn't have been a big deal because you should be able to see, this was an easy one to figure out. And it's not a big deal, but it reminds me that people in the present do not think about what's going on in the future. Those 2 people came down here and they saw open seats in the middle and said, why don't we just sit here? Not thinking that there was going to be somebody who came in after them that might want to sit where you couldn't get the ticket.
Yeah.
Remember, when you bought your ticket, you couldn't buy that seat.
That's true.
When you came into the theater and you saw nobody there, you just assumed, no one will ever be there for some reason. It reminds me of at Hollywood 27, occasionally we would get requests from customer service. This should have been shot down at customer service before it even got to the radio. But I remember several times being in projection on a weeknight, and there would be 2 people in an auditorium by themselves. Every once in a while, they'd get this idea to go to customer service and say, could you get the projectionist to just go ahead and start the movie? And it would be 5-10 minutes early. And with trailers, you can sort of get away with that. But I think especially during the time where we were having the there's been many iterations of the pre-show. There's been slides. There was the digital projector that showed a 20-minute presentation before the projector started. During the time where the 20-minute thing was going on, if you started the movie early, it would log that as you starting the movie early. And you would get written up or whatever the hell whatever was happened to you or whatever. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I was just wondering if you could start the movie early because they're the only ones in there. And it's like, do you guys not realize that in the future there might be other people who are coming to see the movie?
Not only between the 5-10 minutes, but also after the show starts.
Might be coming 15 minutes late, and then because they're trying to dodge the trailers, and they show up at at what they feel is a reasonable time, and the movie's already 5 minutes in.
Yep.
And it's just, I don't get that.
Yeah.
I don't get that. So it's a mini rant. I don't get pissed off about too much except driving, and I don't want to make this all about driving.
It's not related to the spirit of your rant, but how do you feel about moving down its sporting events after a reasonable amount of time has elapsed?
Totally for that.
You're totally for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I am too.
Because at that point, either those people have left and you're not getting the full, you're not getting the full game experience. You're just doing something where, for a couple innings, you went to an unoccupied seat. Yeah. I don't think there's any problem with that.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I feel the same way because, otherwise those seats are just being,
but
vacated.
Sports stadiums have the same issue sometimes. You go over, and especially sports stadiums are even more confusing because they have sections and they have and even when you get to a ticket taker who's like, you go over here and then down and all that, and they tell you all these directions. A lot of times you're still like, well, is it on this side or is it on this side or is it this row? But so even then you go to your seat sometimes and there's people just hanging out in your seat. Yeah.
Fuckers.
I know. Dickheads.
So this morning they dropped this 8-minute mini movie in the Jurassic World franchise. I don't know if you saw any of this on Twitter.
I saw the news item, but I did not watch the movie.
Battle at Fuck Off Rock. I don't know what it's called. Battle at Broken Rock.
Battle at Fuck Off Rock.
You know what? We should start making movie titles like this, right?
Yeah.
Battle of Fuck Off Rock.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like the movie Crazy People, where they're like, they're talking about like the movie's called I don't remember what the horror movie's thing is called, but the tagline they ended up throwing in there in Crazy People was, "It will scare the fuck out of you," and then it leads to that guy going, I'm wondering how the word "fuck" got in the New York fucking Times and all that. But yeah, people would go to see shit like that.
Yes, they would. Well, apparently, now I'm not the average consumer, but people have been watching this shit left and right. I saw Kevin Smith tweeting about it. I saw our buddy Jeremy Simser. He tweeted, "This is better than any 8 straight minutes from the last Jurassic World movie."
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
And I am not going to watch your fucking promo movie. I'm going to read about it and then criticize it. That's how I do. I'm not going to watch it.
You haven't seen it?
No. But this is what it does, according to all the articles, half of which were paid for, I'm sure, by Universal, is that it sets the stage for the next movie. It follows through on Fallen Kingdom's promise that the dinos have escaped into our real world.
Okay. All right.
And it's this family apparently out camping. Mm-hmm. They're aware that dinosaurs are out there.
And yet,
but
just
they're joking about it
Mm-hmm.
because this is what you do.
Yeah.
And then a T-Rex or some fuck shows up and eats them all, and I don't know, a little girl saves the day. I don't fucking know.
With gymnastics.
Yeah.
With gymnastics.
Yeah.
She's a crossbow expert.
It's Camilla Bell all grown up.
Yes. And all I have to say is, fuck you and your next movie if what you're telling me is those 20 fucking dinosaurs who escaped at the end of Fallen Kingdom are somehow going to be a problem for humanity. Like, we can't get a truck full of RPGs, shoulder rockets, and take a T-Rex out. Like, they're going to make it like we've gone back to the Wild West.
Yeah.
And people, it's going to be like Bird Box, only with dinosaurs. And I'm just saying, there are only 20 of those fucking things, and half of them eat plants.
This was my main problem with Fallen Kingdom, was that the idea that they would, send these dinosaurs into a, like we said, a taken scenario where they're being bid on and getting hundreds of millions of dollars for them. And in the end, all you have to do is probably shoot them a few times and they're done.
Yeah.
Like
they do, some of them.
I don't think that people who make a movie like this realize what a military world looks like. Where the reason why T-Rex is terrifying in these movies is because these people don't have weapons.
Right.
They have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard.
Yeah.
If they actually, and yeah, we have the one guy who has the one gun who gets snuck up on by the Velociraptor, but you'll have millions of people in that world who are like, all right, we'll just take them down. Did you see Lost World? They took down the dinos pretty quick
They
enough.
did. They did.
If it wasn't for a couple of issues, they would have gotten off the island, without getting eaten by the Velociraptors.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And I just think what they're going to do is jump forward a few years, make it like, I don't know, electricity's gone or some shit. They're probably going to make some BS. Paul Giamatti's going to pop up and go, they had sex a lot, they rapidly multiplied, and now there's hundreds of them. That's my Paul Giamatti impression. And then he's going to go away. And then somehow Chris Pratt and Ron Howard's daughter and Jeff Goldblum and fucking Laura Dern, they're all going to end up together on this whole fucking planet.
Yeah.
And they're going to go save the day together.
Yeah.
And I'm not here. I'm actually going to try and steal money from this movie. Not only am I not giving it my money, I'm going to try and steal money from it. I'm going to find somebody going to it. I'm going to buy them a ticket to a different movie and have them sneak into this movie.
Yes.
I'm offended by this.
Right.
I'm offended by the whole preposterous plot and the idea of it, and the fact that you put out an 8-minute movie, and because it's better than your last movie, people are like hyped again.
Look, I want you to go and see Independence Day 3 again, instead of this.
Who did the first Jurassic World? Was that Gareth?
It was Trevorrow.
Oh, Colin Trevorrow, right? And then he didn't do the second one, right?
No, it was the guy that did the horror movie.
But Fallen Kingdom didn't get good reviews. It made a lot of money, but it didn't make anywhere near the first one, right?
J.A. Bayona.
It's the Transformers problem. I think it made a shit ton of money.
Okay.
And got terrible reviews.
Enough to.
And they've already said they're bringing back more of the original series characters, and I'm not here for it at all.
Yeah.
It's like nostalgia casting. Jurassic Park has always had this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even the second movie was like, we've got to get Ian Malcolm back. That's the only thing people liked about the first movie was Ian Malcolm. We got to have him in this one. And then the third one was like, well, we got to get Alan Shepard.
Alan Grant.
We got to get Alan Grant back. Alan Shepard too. Fuck it. But people love Alan Grant.
Yeah.
And then the third one, well, we didn't bring anybody back. Except maybe one of the dinosaurs. I think one of the T-Rexes is supposed to be from the original timeline.
All right.
But now the second one, we brought back Ian Malcolm again.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to bring back Alan Grant Shepard. And we're going to bring back Laura Dern's character. And we're going to bring back
Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Julianne Moore. Vince Vaughn is somehow going to come back.
Yeah. And we'll somehow bring back Richard Attenborough.
It's going to be a completely CG character of Richard Attenborough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Played by Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
This time he's in old man makeup and a fat suit.
Yes.
All right, so I've got a rant about a convergence of movies and music. It's the new Charlie's Angels song. Have you heard this?
I've heard the song.
You've seen the video, right?
No, only that you tweeted something that made it look like eye poison, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's eye poison. It's
eye poison.
It is definitely eye poison in certain ways. Now, these are three beautiful women. This is Ariana Grande, Lana Del Rey, and your girl Miley Cyrus. And they're beautiful, and they're all. It's like a goth Victoria's Secret show, basically, right? They're all in these black angel wings, and they're strutting around with their abs and their legs and stuff like that.
I hate abs.
I know. And Lana Del Rey towers over them because she's like a normal height person. My problem really isn't with the video. The video is kind of stupid. It's just stupid. And Miley's got this new look where she's moist, where she's wet all the time.
Yeah.
You know, she's perpetually wet and like stringy hair and stuff like that. I mean, she's still beautiful and I love her and all that stuff.
I was going to say, you're turning me on.
And Ariana's doing her Ariana stuff. The problem that I have is with the song itself. The song is awful. These are three very talented artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ariana's got some really good stuff. Miley's got some borderline great stuff. And Lana Del Rey has some great stuff with some weirdness thrown in there. It's just such a weird combination. And it's a terrible song. It took 7 motherfuckers to write this song, including the 3 women that are involved in it. And so you've got like the boppy, upbeat first verse or like opening with Ariana, and then you've got the kind of scuzzed up, countrified Miley verse where she's like all nipply in the fucking boxing ring, and she's like all like Christina Aguilera in the Fighter Days and all that shit.
All the times to be nipply,
but moist.
You got a fight going on, man. You got to focus.
That's
Well,
right.
she's not. Well, actually, she is fighting so much. She's fighting a dude because this is very anti-male. Which, hey, man, do your thing. Like Lana Del Rey throws a knife into the target's crotch.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Miley's beating up on some dude in the boxing ring while she's nipply, and then it gets to the Lana Del Rey. Have you ever heard any Lana Del Rey?
Yeah, enough to know the gist.
You're absolutely right. You've heard some of it, right? It's very, people call it like narcotized almost. Like it's very hazy, it's very breezy, it's very this kind of thing. And so for her verse, I swear to God, they don't slow it down, but they make it like they put it in halftime beat. Like instead of the boom, 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 it's like boom, boom, boom.
Nice.
And she's like, and she's like all fucking like laying around, like it sucks. It sucks is what I'm saying. That's it.
I'll tell you what. I read this morning that Liam Hemsworth found out about his separation with his wife when she put out a statement about their separation.
I think I heard that when it happened.
And he was like in Australia. And her rep puts out Miley and Liam have agreed to go their separate way. Imagine finding out that way.
Yeah.
Man, don't you have an idea of what you're dealing with when you've been with Miley that long?
Yes.
You're right.
No, I don't disagree because they were together a long ass time and broke up once in between.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I'm not surprised things didn't work out.
But you're right. Finding out like that. Yeah.
However bad things get in a relationship, you can't have your people call his people. Like behind the scenes, Miley needs to talk.
Yeah.
Or even not, Miley says you guys are done. She's going to put out a statement. Heads up.
Yeah.
Get your own statement. No, I'm going to read it on social
email.
That's
something.
Harsh.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
That is.
Miley dropped a couple points.
Now she's in.
Now she's all wet.
She's all wet.
I know.
Stringy.
She's stringy and wet.
You know
and
who's
nipply.
growing on me? Billie Eilish.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like at first I thought maybe we're propping this one up a little too fast, a little too much, glomming a little quick. But now that she's got like 17 different singles playing on all the different radio stations,
man.
she's starting to grow on me.
I haven't heard. Well, matter of fact, her last single is probably my least favorite, but I still like it.
I don't know what order they came in.
The last one, the most recent one, is "All the Good Girls Go to Hell." But like every other song that I've heard from her has been really enjoyable. Now you can tell that she's developing a very signature sound, and I'd like to see her kind of like branch out a little bit. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, she's good. She's good.
There's something there.
Yes,
there's a talent.
I told you. I'm not predicting anything, but I see a lot of parallels with Fiona Apple in this girl. I'm just saying.
So if Billy marries a movie director, watch out.
Actually, yeah, I said I'm thinking she's way too young, but Fiona Apple married him pretty young too.
Yeah, but she was always of age. Like,
no, oh yeah.
Like
no. I'm not saying underage.
When she did Shadowboxer, she was like 19.
Yeah. But she
And
was
then-
like in her early to mid 20s.
Yeah, she was early 20s. Paul Thomas Anderson wasn't that old, though, at the time that they were dating. I don't think it might have been a 10 to 15 year gap, but not like something. Not like he was 45 at the time.
Yeah, it's not a Jerry Seinfeld thing.
Do you think there's a guy in her band at the concert who says that, "No, Billy, I haven't done that dance since my wife died," before that song?
What?
Do you know that one song starts with that quote? Don't look at me like I'm a moron.
Is that
is it Bad Guy?
guy that does that?
The do.
Yeah.
Do.
Like the very opening of the song is an old man. It's a sample of an old man saying, "Oh, Billy, I haven't done that dance since my wife died."
I think I've heard that version of that.
It's at the beginning of
I must
the
not have
video too.
registered it.
I mean, I think maybe possibly sometimes they'll cut it off and go straight to her ripping through the yellow paper.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
So my joke falls flat because you're not familiar with that part of the song.
I am almost certain somebody probably does that. And they
I
do
hope
it
so.
like a regular, like inside joke thing over and over and over again. Hard to believe that she's still so young. She was like when you should see me in the Crown, which was her first one, came out. I think she was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And everything, and it's crazy. These, she's like on top of the world.
Yeah, and
She
that
is.
I even heard her doing acoustic on 14 on satellite radio.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
I'm guessing it's her brother that was singing with her and playing the guitar. Sounded awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't even really. That's probably my least favorite of all her songs.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just heard they're doing some kind of concert on Alt Nation at the Troubadour
Oh, really?
live on Wednesday night. She's gonna play.
Nice. She actually came to Nashville and played the downtown Ascend Theater.
Oh, nice.
She got rained out.
But
But I think she went on the next day because I was actually thinking about going there last minute. Because I was like,
that's
like
the problem with an
like to
outdoor
see
amphitheater.
What kind of live show? Because her voice, her lyrics is just like this. Everybody, you just wonder how that translates
Well,
to a live
it's
show.
the whole audience is sitting there with a hand cupped to their ear.
Yeah,
They got one of those like ear things from Harry Potter.
yeah.
The guy in The Patriot has one of those too. What's that you say? Of course you call yourself a man.
Okay, so we are going to do a recasting today of X-Men.
X-Men.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
For those of you who are not on Patreon, know that we did one for Fantastic Four
Mm-hmm.
that you can get if you want to join our membership there.
Yeah.
It's for Patreon members only.
Yeah. So they're going to do this anyway because they're going to bring they're going to bring X-Men and Fantastic Four somehow into the MCU. I think Kevin Feige has literally intimated this, right? And it's kind of weird for me to think as a thought experiment because to me they just rebooted this series when they did the J-Law, McAvoy, all that stuff.
Which only technically ended like 4 months ago.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but then, and I was like, man, this is too soon to reboot it. But then I think, the third time did work for Tom Holland after 2 decent Spider-Mans, and that was only, 4 years after Homecoming was 4 years after Amazing Spider-Man 2?
It was
That sounds right.
2012?
That sounds right.
2012 was the Amazing Spider-Man.
Was the first one.
Oh, that was
so
the
it
first
wouldn't
one.
have been 4. It would have been more like 2.
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, that it seems too soon, but it has worked in the past. So, I'm excited about it. We're going to recast X-Men.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go ahead. This will be an extremely expensive film. So the origins of X-Men is that they were trying to make a parallel with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and the story behind it and everything. And that's something I only recently learned because of this podcast. It was a year or so ago we were talking about X-Men, and we said something not knowing that, and somebody said, did you know that's what this was? This is what it was.
So the original comics creators meant this to be some sort of metaphor or allegory. I still get those confused about.
Where
civil
Professor X, ironically, Professor X was the Martin Luther King, and Malcolm and the Magneto was the Malcolm X. So at first I was going to do one of those because I'm going to go ahead and say my Magneto is Denzel Washington.
Ooh. I will tell you, Denzel was almost my Professor X.
Oh, really? I have him as my Magneto, and of course he played Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Now, I did a parallel where I put David Oyelowo as Professor X because he played Martin Luther King in Selma.
Yeah, great performance.
That he would be a great choice, but I wanted to go extreme star power, and I put Will Smith here.
Ooh, Jesus.
Well, have they ever been in a movie together?
No.
Can you imagine that act off?
And I feel like, as far as the acting world is concerned, Will Smith has always been the nice guy, quote unquote, and Denzel Washington's always been the intense guy or whatever. And they would play well off of each other this way.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say, if you can't get both of them in the same movie, then you just go with David Oyelowo, and then
that would be awesome,
it
too.
would be a perfect...
But fucking Will Smith, man, and Denzel. I want to see those conversations.
That's what I'm saying. It would be awesome. And then for Mystique, I have Anya Taylor Joy. Now, when I did all these, she was one of the last ones that I put in. I have an older cast here, and a lot of times I know that people who are fans of the comic book are going to be like, well, what didn't Mystique and Magneto and all that, weren't they all the same age and everything like that? Well, who's to say that Mystique doesn't always have the same age? Like that. What is to say that she wasn't like this in the 60s or the 70s, and that's what she prefers to look like?
Well, I mean, Rebecca Romaine in the 2000 version looks much younger than Patrick Stewart or Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if she can, mimic anybody, then she could just walk around in whatever. And
I don't know. I don't know the actual, like, I've never read the comic book or anything, so I don't know if there was an actual, like, canon backstory with those three where she was always, I think First Class is the one that made it seem like they were all like the same age and everything. But I don't know if that's like the true origin. Who cares? We're going to put Anya Taylor Joy. I think the reason is because to me, Anya Taylor Joy has that look of being mysterious and everything. That it's something in her eyes, man. Her eyes are shaped a certain way. I don't know what it is.
She's Mystique.
She's very Mystique. And so yeah, I think she'd be a good Mystique. Wolverine. Now, we were talking in the Fantastic Four thing about making sure we didn't do anything that overlapped with current MCU actors. I'm saying fuck that. We're gonna use the same actor.
We do what we want.
You know what? At this point, MCU is going to get so huge that multiple actors are going to play multiple roles anyway.
They already have, right?
Well, not
the MCU,
right? Yeah. Chris Evans obviously is one of the classic examples, but I'm going to put for Wolverine Samuel L. Jackson.
Holy shit! Holy shit! That is an old cast. He's like 72. Isn't he?
He's old, but
that's awesome.
But yeah, we have an older cast here, and we're kicking ass. We're going full out.
Are you gonna de-age him?
Probably. Well, I mean,
Fuck it.
we don't need to. Like Samuel L. Jackson, I don't think looks like he's his age. So
yeah, that's true.
So I mean, you can have just normal, Samuel L. Jackson in there. For Jean Grey, I have Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Ain't nothing wrong there.
Yeah. For Cyclops, I've put in Kit Harington.
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
So the love triangle in the classic storyline would be Samuel L. Jackson, Rosario Dawson,
and Kit Harington.
I think Kit Harington might actually go for Sam Jackson.
Yeah, very possible. That's very possible. Of course, in fantasy casting, you can also fantasy write, and you can take that stupid triangle out.
Yep.
You don't even need it. For Storm, I have Kerry Washington, who was also in the original Fantastic Four.
Oh, nice.
But I'm going to have Kerry Washington here.
What has she been in recently?
I don't know. I think she's been doing that TV show, whatever that is.
Oh, that's right. The murder, seduce, and I know what you did
seduce
last
and
summer.
destroy.
What is it? It's like How to Get Away with Murder.
How to Get Away with Murder, yeah. I think Kerry Washington and I are 3 days apart in age.
Really?
I thought you were going to say Criminal Minds, which would have been funny because Aisha Tyler was on Criminal Minds.
Oh, shit. Kerry Washington will be Storm. For Rogue, I have Lily James playing Rogue.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Her of Baby Driver.
Yeah. And speaking of Iceman, Ansel Elgort.
Perfect.
Yeah.
They had some chemistry.
They did.
In that movie.
They did, and that's why I cast them both.
That's my chemistry.
Yeah. It'll get all hot and heavy, and they'll bang fists together.
That's how it works, right? Just like this. It's been a while.
For Pyro, I have Liam Hemsworth.
Oh,
Pyro is the First Class. He's not. Is he in?
No, he's in X2. And
Yeah, he's the evil. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Pyro and Iceman have a love triangle with Rogue.
Yes.
Do they have a love triangle?
Fire and Ice?
Sort of.
A song of Fire and Ice.
It's going to be part of my casting, so yes, they do.
Okay.
But I think in X2, which is the one where they're like in the mall and Professor X stops time because they're about to have a fight with bullies, and he like slides. I think it's X2.
No, that must be X3.
Okay, that's The Last Stand then. That's where Pyro and Iceman are both.
That's
having
X3.
affections
For The Last Stand. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Who did you say was Pyro? I'm sorry.
Liam Hemsworth.
Nice. He's got to have some stuff to distract him.
You know, I mean, when I went through these, like Cyclops, Rogue, Iceman, Pyro, I never really got much like character from them anyway. I mean, they you could really fill in just a blank actor, and they can probably do what they need to do.
Who's going to look cool throwing ice with their hands? That's how I went about casting it.
Oh. For Sabretooth, I have Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So this character was hilariously shafted, like either in the writer's room or in the editing room or something like that.
It's in the casting process.
In the casting process, and that's probably why. But like, he's got maybe 3 minutes of screen time or something like that.
In the classic X-Men, he's always been like a main rival to Wolverine.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think they even have some kind of
Aren't
relation.
they brothers?
I think they're brothers or something.
Huh.
In Wolverine, the X-Men Origins Wolverine, I think it's Liev Schreiber.
He's playing Sabretooth?
Plays Sabretooth.
Oh, I forgot.
And
that.
I think he and Hugh Jackman are brothers in that.
I got you.
I don't know. I doubt they're brothers in the original X-Men trilogy, because he's just some rando Magneto henchman guy.
Yeah, but that's one of the rules. I mean, they cast a wrestler. I don't even know which wrestler it was.
I forget what it was.
Chris
Jericho or whatever.
Macho. But you know that has turned around recently. John Cena's got some charm, and Batista did all right in the Guardians. So casting a wrestler is not what it used to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
But back in 2000, it meant don't give him any lines, just let him growl.
For Toad, I have Jackie Chan.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Who's also like 70.
Yeah, he's also very old. This is an old X-Men, but I think people would want to watch this.
I think it could be fun.
Yeah, we got Denzel Washington, we got Will Smith. Come on, motherfuckers. You're going to watch that shit.
And Sam Jackson.
Yeah, and Sam Jackson.
What's the disparity in age between Will Smith and Denzel?
Okay, so Denzel is in his 60s, and I think Will Smith is in his 50s.
Okay,
I think there's roughly a decade between them.
Gotcha. Cool.
Nightcrawler, I have Daniel Bruhl, who's also he's Nero or Nemo or Zima, whatever the fuck he is.
Nemo, Zero.
Yeah.
Nemo.
Yeah. But I wanted to have a German actor play Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
So Daniel Bruhl. And then for Stryker, I have Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh.
Ooh. Cool.
I am a little concerned about that guy.
Oh, yeah?
Because he needs to play some heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of, like, Big Little Lies, abusive asshole.
Yeah.
That movie with Kristen Wiig that you guys have never seen that has a bunch of nudity about being a girl. Diary of a Teenage Girl... something of a teenage something. Kristen Wiig plays her mom. It's set in the 70s. And Skarsgård is the stepdad.
That's the one where she walks through the casino, right?
I don't think so.
There's a movie where she walks through a casino completely naked, Kristen Wiig.
This is not that movie.
Okay, it's not
but
that
now
one.
I want to watch that movie.
Yeah.
No, but this is about her daughter who's like in the movie 15, and she ends up like she starts fucking her stepdad, which is Skarsgård. And I just read the other day he got cast in something, and it was a villain role. And I'm just like, he needs to play some heroes.
In that Lady Gaga paparazzi video, he's an abusive asshole. Or he's an asshole that gets killed by her.
I've never seen it.
And then in True Blood, he was kind of a villain dude.
See, I think he's an awesome actor.
I think so, too.
And I think he probably takes these roles because they're challenging. But I'd like to see him play some good guys.
Yeah. Diary of a Teenage Girl.
Diary of a Teenage Girl.
Yeah.
That movie is shockingly R-rated.
Yeah. All right.
She records like cassette.
Wow. They show that on the IMDb.
Yeah. There's lots of teenage girl on mom's boyfriend fucking. There's lots of drug use. The mom And then the girl has a diary, but it's a cassette tape diary, and she stupidly, because her mom finds them later, records into this little microphone, but she says like the most blunt shit, like, I want him to fuck me and his juice is inside me or whatever. Like, it's really, really R-rated. And I think it's probably semi-autobiographical. I think it was written and directed by a female who went through a lot of this stuff.
Interesting. Is it good?
Yeah. It's just not the kind of, I don't want to come on the podcast. You guys got to watch this movie about this 15-year-old girl who gets naked and fucks her dad. But Skarsgård is awesome in that movie. But he's just a terrible person.
Yeah.
The character.
Yeah, the character.
Sorry. I'm sorry to derail you.
That's all I have casted for this. Like if we were doing traditional, the first X-Men that came out in 2000, I don't think Stryker is in that one. I don't think some characters I mentioned.
Nightcrawler's not even in it.
Nightcrawler doesn't show up till X2, but the characters that I just somewhat remember, and I was glomming off a little bit of yours because I didn't remember all those other like minor characters, but that's who I would cast in this motherfucker.
Nice.
You or me, babe.
You go ahead.
All right. So I had a very I went back to the first 2 X-Men movies for my general characters and age ranges of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also cherry-picked a couple of first-class characters and threw them in there.
So like the disparity between the ages of like teachers versus students and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so I just mean my actors and Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Anna Paquin. My actors will be similar in age to those actors.
Gotcha.
That's sort of I'm rebooting that movie because you know how much I love reboots.
Yeah.
I don't know about the English accent here, but I want my Professor X. I thought about this long and hard. I had Denzel in there. It's got to be somebody who can speak with authority and truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also there's got to be a warmth there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I spent more time than I'd care to admit looking on the IMDb at actors' ages because I was trying to find somebody who wasn't 78.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought about Morgan Freeman. Like Morgan Freeman 10 years ago would have been perfect for Professor X.
Yeah, he would have.
Because he has that veritas and he has that, but he's also got that warmth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Kevin Kline. Then he's going to go up against Magneto is Ed Harris. Because I think I could see, especially after Westworld, I think I could see Ed Harris as a menacing villain, but somebody who could also have like a genuine friendship with Kevin Kline.
Well, he's been a villain. I mean, you look at History of Violence, and you look at Snowpiercer.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's definitely had some times where he's been Kristoff in Truman Show. Too.
Yeah. So he could villain good. And Wolverine, I think, is the key.
Yes, it is.
You think you cast Wolverine wrong, and your X-Men movies are going to falter
because he's the only one that's been consistent across all the reboots.
It is.
Right?
It's your own fault. Well, it's Fox's fault for casting so well the first time.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. You unexpectedly created like Hugh Jackman. I went and looked at his IMDb. He was nobody before this movie.
Oh
came
yeah,
out.
yeah.
And so I don't think you have to cast a super well known or somebody who's super buff. But I am going to cast Chris Pine because I think you get Chris Pine on that Wolverine gym, program, beef him up. I think he could play the anger and the rage, but also there's a charm to Wolverine, at least the way Hugh Jackman brought him to us. I think he could. I almost went with Ben Foster here because
no, Pine is perfect.
Pine is just charming enough. All right, so Cyclops again. This would be James Marsden-ish, and I'm going Dave Franco.
Ooh, I like that.
And he's gonna be love triangling with Chris Pine there for the affections of Jean Grey, which is Kristen Stewart. I did go ahead and cast all my secret girlfriends. By the way.
Yep.
So I think Kristen Stewart could probably pull off that mental power thing.
You just want her in your
I just wanted Kristen Stewart in there.
Yeah.
Storm, I got Paula Patton.
Ooh, yeah.
I just watched Ghost Protocol again yesterday. She's so good.
She's not a great actress, but she's good in that.
She can do Storm because Storm
that's
didn't
true.
have a great actress the last time.
But I mean, she's really good in Ghost Protocol relative to what I've seen her do.
Okay,
otherwise.
so a lot of things just went through there that I'm not sure about. So, is Halle Berry? I would say Halle Berry is a good actress.
Yes,
right?
I think so.
Yes, I meant mostly in that one movie.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, nobody good needed to play that character and everything. But I think she's good. And the other thing is funny to me. I know that you didn't do this, but I think I told this before. But watching Deja Vu, when I watched that movie in New York, someone after the movie came out and said, "Boy, Halle Berry's really good in that movie." And I was like, that wasn't Halle Berry, that was Paula Patton. She's like, no, that was Halle Berry. And I was like, I 100% know that was not Halle Berry. First off, doesn't look like her, but second off, I've already checked the credits and all of that, and it's not freaking Halle fucking Berry.
No.
Anyway,
Her
Paula
name
Patton.
Her name in that movie is Claire Kuchever. And I know that because Denzel says it like 16 different times in the movie. All right, so that was Storm. Now, here's where the only break I'm making in my no MCU actors rule, and I think it's still a technicality. But for Nightcrawler, I want Taika Waititi.
Yes.
All right.
Especially, when I did mine and then went back over and looked at yours and everything, I immediately thought of his What We Do in the Shadows character doing the Nightcrawler thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'd be really charming and funny.
Yeah, it's a technicality because he's Korg. It's Korg, right?
Yeah. Rogue. We're starting our teenage love triangle, student love triangle now. I'm going to go with my gal Caitlin Devers from Booksmart.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And she's going to love triangle with Iceman and Pyro. And Iceman is going to be Hayden Setzo. This is the guy that played Irwin in The Edge of 17, the guy that she eventually kind of starts a flirtation with that makes the weird movie videos at the end.
Yeah.
And then Pyro is going to be Nate from Euphoria because that guy is already typecast as an asshole.
He's done.
The poor guy who did such a good job.
He should take all of Alexander Skarsgård's roles.
Seriously.
Let him be
Seriously. He gave himself like a hemorrhage doing that scene where he banged his head on the floor a whole bunch. Like in
real
a
life?
Concussion or something in
Oh,
real
Jesus.
life. Yeah.
That guy's name is Jacob Elordi. By the way.
Elordi, yes, who just went to like Greece or something with Zendaya. Like they're rumored to be dating.
Oh.
That's some sexy right there.
That's a tall couple.
Yeah.
Dating.
That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
For Beast, all I can think about is Nicholas Hoult and that way he looked with the glasses before he turned into. So I went with Jay Baruchel.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like we could accomplish largely the same thing.
Oh, okay, guys. I'm the Beast.
He can dole out the science and the technobabble.
Don't let me get that Beast to come out, guys.
Sabretooth. We're going to beef this character up.
Yeah.
And I want to cast David Diggs from Blind Spotting and
Nice.
Hamilton because
Nice.
he's huge. And then I'm getting into the silly stuff. Toad, this was the last one I cast because every time I tried to put somebody in there, I thought that role is worthless. I might not even cast Toad. And then I realized, nope, Jai Courtney.
Yeah.
For Stryker, I'm going with the Brian Cox Stryker age. I went Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Oh, very
He
nice.
can bark out the military shit about your
Yeah.
fuckers.
You goddamn motherfuckers.
Mystique, I went Frida Pinto.
Yeah.
What has she been doing?
Not a lot. But she's the right age. She's
Uh-huh.
like early 30s. She's hot as hell.
Uh-huh.
And she's a good actress.
Yeah, I
so,
like that.
I went with her. And then for Lady Deathstrike, because she's in X2 and I want to see her fight Wolverine again, I went with Constance Wu.
Yeah.
Oh, is she a finger lady?
Finger Lady.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
or female Wolverine.
Mhm.
Constance Wu.
And then I wanted to pull Emma Frost in. This is the January Jones character from First Class, who's a much bigger deal in the X-Men than the original movies. Like, she's not even in the original movies, but she goes from one of their biggest villains to one of their leaders by the end of her story arc. And I wanted to get Claire Danes in there.
Oh, that's
Cast
very nice,
Claire
though.
Danes in there.
Yeah.
There you go. There's
And so somehow, some way, Miley's got to get in this movie.
she can play Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kitty
there you
Pryde.
go.
Why not?
How does January Jones kill that oligarch guy in First Class? Doesn't she like get him inside her and turn to glass? What does
She
do?
can turn to diamonds,
Right.
which makes her nearly indestructible.
But how did she kill that dude?
I don't remember.
She did something like she was having sex with him and then she turned to diamond.
Well, that would hurt.
Mm-hmm.
right?
I don't know.
Did the whole Famke Janssen thing in Goldeneye?
Diamond Dentata.
Yeah.
I'm remembering that all wrong. She did something completely different.
Yeah, it's probably just shot him.
Yeah, she shot him with the gun.
She turned the diamond and shot him.
You want so badly to explore the diamond sex.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, shit. All right, well, here's mine. I had to start with Wolverine because I thought that was the most critical character because Hugh Jackman has embodied it. And I end up with Tom Hardy.
That's perfect.
Because Tom Hardy, I caught a little bit of The Revenant recently again. He's so fucking amazing in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he can play as gruff. Like, he could play that character, like, as well as Hugh Jackman, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Storm, I'm doing all the heroes first. Storm is Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Who, God, she's in something like that's out now, I think. But I haven't seen her in a whole lot of stuff. The thing I remember her most is in Cloverfield Paradox, and that's a terrible movie, but she's actually really good in that movie.
Yeah, she's in a ton of things, and I've seen her in a ton of things, but I can't think of all the movies.
Well, she's really good actress.
Yeah.
And I what I'm trying to do is like revitalize these characters to where even if they're small parts, they're played well. Like we said, Halle Berry is a very good actress, but she wasn't given anything to work with in that first X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Jean Grey is Emma Stone.
Ah.
Now that's a lady worth fighting over.
It's true. It's very true.
I'm going to talk about Emma Stone in my recommendations, by the way. She's
a delight.
She makes my heart happy.
Mm-hmm.
Emma Stone. And then Cyclops, I want Cyclops to have more of a backbone because Cyclops was a pushover, the James Marsden. They tried to be like, oh, well, he's beefing up to him and everything. But no, man. Wolverine versus Cyclops, there's no competition there.
No.
And so I want to give him a backbone. It's going to be Andrew Garfield.
Andrew
Garfield.
Nice.
And Emma Stone back together for Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, he's got the inside track then.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy
exactly,
is
right?
fucked.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy, Andrew Garfield, and Emma Stone. That's a lot of sexiness. Professor X is going to be what? I can't even get it out. Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Okay. I actually thought about this. I didn't just put this in there. My characterization of Professor X is not only the authoritative kind of impact that he has over the school and everything. To me, it's more of that warmth that you were talking about and more of the calmness. He never really raises his voice, and he's more of a teacher than he is as like a disciplinarian.
You're
or
forgetting
like
that one time
soldier.
that he yelled, "Eric, no!"
So I think we've all discussed Keanu's limitations as an actor, but I think he's certainly got the Zen part down. And I think he could deliver these lines in a manner with which you'd say, like, wow, that dude's, there's something there. There's something behind the eyes there. So, yeah, Keanu is going to be my Professor X.
We know that he doesn't look weird bald.
Is it just in The Matrix that he was bald?
It's the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
That and well, no, no, never mind.
There's another movie, and I can't think of it right now. I think he does play bald somewhere else.
Wow. Devil's advocate.
Probably.
I think that would be fun.
All right.
Anyway, so Canoe. Rogue is going to be Chloe Grace Moretz. Who's I think like 22 or something like
somewhere
that.
around there.
And we all know that she has chops, and who knows where she's going to take her career, but she definitely has the gravitas.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to anchor that. She's going to be falling in love with Harry Styles as Iceman.
Yeah.
Harry Styles.
Harry.
I sure hope Pyro is like Louis.
I didn't make a Pyro.
Oh. Well, let's
That
make
would be
Pyro Louis. Let's just do it.
No, he would have it would have to be Zane. Would be Pyro. All right, so now we've made a Pyro. But yeah, Harry Styles, man, I want to see that boy do stuff.
Well,
he's on the cover of Rolling Stone this month.
He did fine in Dunkirk.
Yep.
And then he was cast and backed out of the live-action Little Mermaid as the prince. So I guess
Did
we're
he
waiting.
Back out?
Well, maybe he wasn't actually cast.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
it just got close. But he was very close, and then he turned it down.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. He was offered and he turned it down.
The movie I was thinking of, and it's definitely not Keanu Reeves, was bald or anything, but it was Little Buddha. But he's got all sorts of crazy ass hair in that movie. I doubt that he was ever bald in it. But the movie that Gugu and Batha Raw that you're thinking of is probably Motherless Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, that's because we had just watched that trailer a million times.
Yeah,
and she looks like she's really stretching in that one too.
Yeah.
My Magneto is going to be Daniel fucking Day-Lewis.
Oh, well, how are you going to get him out of retirement?
Hey, it's fantasy casting.
Dude, we're going to pay out
then
the
I want fucking
dick hole for this movie.
I want Orson Welles then if we're fantasy casting.
Hey.
He's alive.
Yeah, that's true. We could expand the rules to say living or dead.
Yeah, that would be wild.
Yeah.
I would make Charlie Chaplin Professor X and Buster Keaton Magneto.
That's right.
That would be delightful.
Suck it.
Watch the non-conversations they have.
Yes.
Listen, okay, I think we've all seen Canoe when he's pulled up to really great actors in Devil's Advocate, right? So Daniel Day-Lewis versus Keanu Reeves.
That's right. This X-Men is fucking crazy, by the way. I'm not thinking about what the movie will become. I'm thinking about what happens 5 years down the road after this movie's tanked. and somebody was like, who had the idea of putting Keanu Reeves as Professor X?
Who cast R2-D2 as Toad?
Yeah.
My Mystique is going to be Margot Robbie, which I misspelled on the thing. But obviously, now we don't know what's going to happen with this Suicide Squad one that is directed by James Gunn. And hopefully it'll be good. But that first one was a piece of trash. She was, I guess, fine in it. But I'd like to see her be in a better comic book movie.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about this other one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Taika Waititi is in it.
Yeah.
So that's Mystique. Sabretooth is going to be John Cena, who you actually mentioned before. Again, I want to make these small roles a little more meat on the bone.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all seen what, exactly. We've all seen what John Cena can do in small doses, like Trainwreck.
Mm-hmm.
He's great in Trainwreck. Blockers, a little bit too much Cena, you know. Mm-hmm. So I think this would be perfect. He could get even, a couple of little zingers in at Daniel Day DDL, you know.
Mm-hmm.
DDL.
Mm-hmm.
My Toad is going to be Eco U Ice from the Raid movies because Ray Park was Toad in the first one. And I don't think he ever, he did a couple of, jumps and stuff like that, but I think all that was CG. And it's kind of annoying to get, a martial arts genius like Ray Park.
The only performance of his that was actually him was whenever the tongue would flick across the room and grab something.
Right.
Yeah.
He'd been practicing that since he was 3.
I think Eco could totally pull that off. And plus, he doesn't have a whole lot of lines, but I think he could do a lot with his characterization and his fighting style.
The physicality of it.
Physicality.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's about emotionality.
Yeah.
Daniel Day and Canoe. Button heads gently because they love each other. They love each other.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
No. This would blow your mind.
I bet I would pay to see your movie.
Yep.
But after I paid to see mine and Chris's.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, triple feature.
All right.
I'll watch anything with some stunt casting in it, man. All right, everybody. Time to talk about Mubi once again.
Mubi!
And no surprise, they have a lot of great offerings this month.
They got some wild stuff on there, man.
Yeah. I watched a movie called Once Upon a Time in Anatolia.
I wanted to check this out.
Yeah, it's really good. Turkish film from 2011. And it's about a bunch of guys who are there's detectives and cops, and there's a guy they keep calling the prosecutor, who I'm assuming is what would be our DA or something like that. And they're driving these 2 suspects around just this basically a sea of same landscape stuff, looking for a dead body that they know that these two are responsible for. And so the movie's just beautifully shot all the way through. But we see these guys, we see the suspects with the guy who has been killed right at the beginning, and they're talking, they're having fun, they're laughing, and then movie breaks, and then they're looking for his dead body. And the movie makes this as an excuse to have all the people really just talk about other things that are important to them, because I don't know what to classify this kind of movie as, where the search for something is almost a MacGuffin in a way.
Oh, so it's not like a traditional murder mystery.
Not really. We know that these two guys did it, or at least one of them did. And it really, they're just trying to find, they're trying to find the body. They don't know if they'll ever find it. They're searching at night, and the guy's like, I was really drunk and I don't remember. And it's pretty clear that he doesn't. It's not like he's trying to lie or anything like that. That might be a little bit spoilery for some people, because when you're first watching it, you're like, okay, what's going on? What's up with this? But essentially, though, like I said, it's more of a platform for them to have discussions about everyday life things. One of the first conversations is the chief inspector guy is talking about buffalo yogurt. And he's talking in the car about this buffalo yogurt, and there's this long riff about it and everything, and it's so funny. And then there's like a discussion about, wow, this is the 5th time we've pulled over, and that guy, and they're talking about the prosecutor. The 5th time this guy has gotten out to go pee or whatever, and there's a doctor with him. And it's like, what is that, doctor? Is that the prostate? And he's like, it depends. It's like there's a lot. It's like after 5 times, it depends. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you have to, not without an examination, you can't do anything. And then so like they go from place to place, and then the prosecutor is talking to the doctor, and he's like tells a story about this woman who predicted the day of her death. And she had a kid with she and her husband had a kid, and sure enough, just a few days after, she dies. And so the doctor's like, well, how did she die? And he's like, at first he doesn't want to answer, and then he comes back and he's like, well, she died of a heart attack and everything. He's like, well, there are certain drugs that people can use to actually make it look like a heart attack and everything. And so there's this sort of like story going on and everything. It goes all the way from them searching for the body, finding the body. I know that sounds spoilery, but it's not really. And to all the way to the autopsy and everything, going through like this. And of course we get some interesting details about this murder too and everything, but it's a great movie. It's really, really good. On Mubi's own service, it's at a 4.2 out of 5, which is very high. Yeah. And on IMDb, it's at a 7.8, which is another general good rating and everything. So, one of a great offering for Mubi there, and it will be there as this one airs.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
no, I've been wanting to check that out. This is a perfect time to sign up for this. There's 2 music-based options on here. One of them is kind of a documentary, but more of like an in his own words type of thing. It's Jonas Mekas doing scenes from the life of Andy Warhol.
Oh,
Friendships and Intersections. This is a short film. It's about 30 minutes or so. And it's basically, you ever go over to somebody's house and watch their home movies? People don't do that much anymore. But back in the day, you go over and watch
only when they're
movies.
Asleep.
Yeah.
You're fucked up, man.
This reminds me of a John Mulaney joke, and I will tell that after we're done with the movie.
Anyway, this is like home movies of Andy Warhol, and it's like, watching home movies is fun sometimes if you know the people, but this is like home movies with John Lennon and Yoko Ono, like having dinner with them, and like Edie Sedgwick and like all the Kennedys and shit like that. And it's all like his interactions over time, over the course of his career, really. And it's scored by the Velvet Underground. So this is just like a classic, like just snapshot of that generation. The Factory, there's some Allen Ginsberg is in there. Very, very interesting. And there's another movie called $1 Million Hotel. Have you ever seen this?
Yes.
You have seen this?
Yes.
The movie's insane.
It is insane.
This is it Wim Wenders or is it Wim Wenders?
Wim Wenders, I think.
Wenders.
Yeah.
He did Buena Vista Social Club and Paris, Texas and stuff like that. I had actually never seen, I saw some of Buena Vista Social Club. But I checked this out. It's got a ridiculous cast.
It
It's
does.
got Jeremy Davies, Mila Jovovich. Peter Stormare is great in this movie. He plays a member of the Beatles, I guess basically George Harrison, but he's not exactly him. But he's doing his Peter Stormare does a British accent. And there's still a little Stormare in there.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing ever. But this movie, it's got Mel Gibson in it as the main guy. Tim Roth actually plays his son. But it's a very interesting, crazy, enjoyable movie.
Yeah, and Bono produced it.
He scored it.
Not scored it.
So yeah, it's technically, I think, U2 as the music for this. It's really, really interesting. And I actually want to check out more of Wim Wenders' work because he's like a German new wave director, right?
Yeah, I think
new
something
German
like that.
cinema. So yeah, it's really interesting, very colorful, and Mila Jovovich is pretty.
So what? Where do people go if they want to check out Mubi?
Mubi.com/Cinemasins. Here's what you're going to get. We're not just talking about this for nothing.
Nope.
You're going to get 30 days free on this service. That's long enough for you to soak up, to ingest, to draw all the the movie magic of Mubi. Alliteration aside, this is a good deal. 30 days free, Mubi.com, MUBI.com/Cinemasins. Takes you right there. You sign up, 30 days free, boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
1 month free. 60 total movies that you'll have a chance to watch.
That's right.
For free. I don't know what you're waiting for.
So, do we have some recommends and awards?
Totes Amazeballs.
It won the Academy Award
Oh, for what?
for Best Movie Ever Made.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah. Hey, last week we were messing around, and Chris and Jonathan and I were talking about Rule 34. Is that what?
Yeah, Rule 34 is if it exists, there's a porn of it.
Right. Yeah. And for whatever reason, that reminded me of this movie 43, that I never saw, but it was, 2013. And talk about stunt casting. This had like everybody in the world from Hollywood in there.
Yep.
And it was universally panned from my understanding. It's like 4.3 on IMDb and like, 5 or 7% on Rotten Tomatoes. But I also did just realize that it was on Netflix. And I was like, man, there's so much talent involved in that. It cannot be the worst thing I've ever seen. And so I watched it. And it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
That's good to know.
And it's in vignettes. It's very much like Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah.
Didn't it also have multiple directors?
Yes.
Okay.
It had the directors were people like Peter Farrelly, Elizabeth Banks, Brett Ratner, James Gunn actually was one, Griffin Dunn, Stephen Brill. So again, a lot of talent behind the camera too. And so it's a series of vignettes of like 14 vignettes, and it starts off with the worst one with Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman, where Hugh Jackman has balls on his chin.
Yep.
Holy
And
shit! Like actual balls?
Actual balls.
Yeah.
That reacts the way balls do.
Right. Yeah. He's on this date with her, and like I can't remember. Is he trying to hide it at first?
No.
He never hides it.
He doesn't mention it.
Okay.
Like nobody mentions it.
Right.
And so she's the only one. She's like, they're going to dinner, and like the waiters come by, and she's like, and nobody acknowledges the balls at all. Like he holds a baby, and the balls are resting on the kid's head and all that stuff. It's a horrible, horrible segment, but it set the tone to me because this is all pitched by a crazed, former producer played by Dennis Quaid to a current producer played by Greg Kinnear. And he's like, here's my movie. And so he starts off with this scene of Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman where he's got balls on his chin. And to me, it's saying, we're going to be ridiculous for the sake of being ridiculous, even if it's a one-note premise or whatever.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, there's a couple of just absolute misses. The one with Anna Faris and Chris Pratt is hideous, just on a conceptual level and an execution. But then there's some really funny stuff. Like there's one with Liev Schreiber and Liev Schreiber and Naomi Watts, and then the kid from Shameless.
They're married in real life.
Oh,
They used to be.
They're not married in real life.
That's really funny. There is a absolute hilarious scene that's essentially just Kieran Culkin and Emma Stone, where they're former lovers that are arguing at a supermarket. He's a clerk. She's just come in to fuck with him. And they're rehashing their relationship. And she's like, I can't believe you stole that money from your grandmother. And he's like, I can't believe that you blew a hobo just for some magic beans. And she was like, he was a wizard, Brad. This scene is fucking hilarious, man. It's like 7 minutes of them arguing the most absurd things ever. And then there's one with Elizabeth Banks that's really good. There's one with
Is he recommending this movie?
I'm warning it.
Oh, okay.
There's one with Chloe Grace and McLovin that's really funny. And Patrick Warburton. I swear to God, this is the nexus of the Kevin Bacon game, basically. You can find all different directions from this movie. Maybe that's part of the reason that they made it. It's not good. In fact, it's objectively terrible. But there's enough funniness in there where I may even watch this again late at night.
I don't know, man. It sounds like Saturday Night Live to me, and it was probably always this way when I was a kid, but when I was a teenager, it felt like it was consistently funny. And the last several years, I feel like there's one funny sketch every episode, but I don't want to spend a whole hour and a half waiting for one funny sketch. So I just wait till the next day. So what I need to do is have you sit down and tell me all the best vignettes, and I'll go watch them on YouTube, and I don't have to watch the bullshit ones.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
That's a great way to watch this movie.
All right.
I didn't know which ones were good or bad, so I just kind of like made my way through.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I'll totally do that because there are skits in here that are, or vignettes in here that are totally worth watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Did you see it before? Did you say you'd seen it?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters when I was still working at Hollywood 27. I have not seen it since.
Do you remember a whole lot about it?
Other than the balls on the chin thing. It's the only thing that I remember. I remember there just being an ungodly amount of A-list actors. Of course, there were a lot of people who were either dating or getting married or whatever at the time, playing in the same scene.
Did he have regular balls too in the normal spot? Or were his balls misplaced on his chin, or did his chin just also have a second set of balls?
We never know.
Are there sex organs in there? Is there any brewing any buffalo yogurt up in that chin balls?
Gosh, that's a callback to the movie ad.
I swallowed your buffalo yogurt. That means something.
Yes.
I don't know. They never really explain it.
All right.
You probably want to avoid the Chris Pratt and Anna Faris one.
Yeah, I think that like you were saying, the whole point of the balls on his chin was the joke is that nobody's acknowledging it at all. So the idea that we'd get any knowledge about it at all would step on that joke and step on those balls.
Exactly.
And balls.
And it's such a bad joke. But it just seems like the movie is reveling in it in a way that is a little more self-aware than what you typically get in a bad comedy. So yeah, this is a very much Recca Warren.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Me?
Go ahead.
I'm going to Recca Warren a couple of films. I'll start with Mary Queen of Scots.
Oh, this is
Saoirse and Margot Robbie.
This is a recommend?
This is a Recca Warren. They're
Recca
both
Warren?
Recca Warrens.
Okay.
This is a little bit more glowing. I watched this movie Saturday, and then I saw it was on again yesterday, and I watched it again. Margot Robbie plays Queen Elizabeth. Saoirse Ronan plays Mary Queen of Scots. Saoirse. She should get an easier to say name.
They did a whole Saturday Night Live thing about this.
Did they?
Yep.
Taylor Swift's boyfriend, who apparently is only going to do English period pieces.
Joe Alwyn?
Joe Alwyn is in this. And I'm trying to think if there's any. Guy Pearce. And the guy who's the main character in Primary Colors. The kid who's wide-eyed and by the end of it has realized everybody sucks.
David Lester or something?
David Lester.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's right. He's in this.
Okay.
So basically what you have here is it's mostly the story of the Scottish queen marrying Saoirse. And she has been in France because she was a baby when she became queen. And now she's like of age and she's come back. Sometime in between there and coming back to rule her own Scotland, she married a dude who died. This is all based on fact. They got married young back then. So she comes back and her brother has been the ward of Scotland and he now becomes her advisor. And it's this back and forth. Queen Elizabeth doesn't want Scotland to be a sovereign state, but there's also the concern that because Mary, Queen of Scots, is Catholic, that she could take the whole of England and Scotland as the leader. And so England is making moves to try and get her to marry somebody that they can control, which is Joe Allman. But she rejects him. Anyway, I don't need to give the whole plot of the movie. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Some of the countryside shots, I swear they ride horses through the valley of James Bond's childhood home from Skyfall. like that kind of cinematography of those kind of, and they're in horses and carriage. It's gorgeous. The acting is incredible. Saoirse especially is really good. It's a little boring.
Oh, yeah.
There's unexpected amounts of wild sex in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Like, Mary likes it.
Yeah, sure.
And good for her.
Yeah.
She loves the cock.
So I watched this. It's basically about everybody's trying to take power. Everybody's manipulating and undermining each other. And then in the very end, we get these two who are cousins. Elizabeth and Mary, Queen of Scots, are cousins. They even call each other sister because it was a pretty incestuous time back then. Mm-hmm. She even marries somebody from her own family. She marries another Stuart later in the movie. And they have this weird Hall of Mirrors kind of thing where they're like, there's some kind of room. It's a bunch of hanging sheets, white sheets, and they're both on either ends of it. And they walk and they glide through the sheets before they get face to face and have a conversation where Elizabeth is just kind of a jerk. And if you know anything about the history of Mary, Queen of Scots, gets her head chopped off. Which I think I'm pretty sure every single monarch that ever ruled got their head chopped off. I go and look this up afterwards to try and learn more. When I'm intrigued by a movie, I usually want to know who made this. I get to the director. This is her first feature film.
Really?
Almost all of her experience is Broadway, stage direction. And so that's why I watched it a second time, because the first time through, I thought it was just okay. Kind of a B-, with decent cinematography. But once I found out that was the first feature, I was like, I gotta go look at this again. And that, in terms of like costumes and ornate hairstyles, like I recommended it to my wife because she loves that kind of shit. I said, it's like Marie Antoinette. She said, I love that movie. And I was like, yeah, it's not very good, but you'll like it. So it's a wreck of Warren. Again, the acting is really good. There is some intrigue here and there. It definitely slogs in places, and it's not like a home run like Elizabeth, the movie. But there you go.
The guy the guy that I said was David Lester is actually Adrian Lester.
Adrian Lester.
His name,
Lester was the part that I thought was the good part.
Yeah, Lester was for sure right, but yeah.
I was excited about that movie. When we did it on the last year's fall preview, I think. I think I was excited about it.
Yeah.
Her Scottish accent is awesome. Saoirse's.
Because she's Irish, right? That's got to be. Well, I don't know how hard that is. Maybe it's easier for an Irish person to do a Scottish and vice versa.
Are you telling me Irish and Scottish accents are different?
I'm not. I think they're the same. But
well, I met a Scottish woman one time at a convention or a drug meeting or something like that, and she was very, very Scottish and had the accent. I was like, I can do a Scottish accent. So I did my Scottish, and she was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think she is Irish, though.
She said I sounded Irish. Yeah.
And she does that accent in Brooklyn. She does that very well.
Yeah.
She's great. And that's probably the only reason I would have ever even looked at this. But yeah, there you go. Rekha Warren.
All right.
Is Saoirse Ronan taller than Margot Robbie?
God, not according to my brain.
Oh, okay. Because the poster seems to make, unless it's just the way they are juxtaposed there, it looks like she's taller.
That's weird because
Which
no,
I would not have guessed.
Even
that.
in the final scene, I swear to God, Margot Robbie's looking down. Like her eyes are looking down because they did that cross cut thing. But yeah, I don't know. They only are in that one scene together. And they're never standing side by side for a photo like that.
Oh, okay. I only have one in this recommend or warn. I'm going to recommend Apollo 11.
Ooh.
This came out earlier in the year as for the 50th
yeah.
anniversary of the moon landing. They found some footage that had never been released before.
Not to be confused with the found footage Apollo 18.
18, yeah. Yeah, not to be confused with that piece of shit, by the way.
That's what I thought.
Piece of shit. I remember being somewhat kind of excited about Apollo 18 and then watched it, and I halfway through. It was one of the few movies where halfway through I nearly shut it off. Apollo 11, they found some footage, including I think some like 65 millimeter footage.
Wow.
Of the lead up to the launch of the rocket and everything. It starts off with this. I never would have thought about this before. This big, huge, slow moving thing that is carrying the rocket to the launch pad. And it's just like this, just very barely moving. And, but it's got all this footage of like the astronauts getting in their suits and getting prepared. You can see the looks on their faces, like this could be it. This could be the end of, this, we don't know how this is going to go. All the footage of like, what's going on in the control room, all the footage of people, like there's some insane amount of people who've gone out to watch the launch and everything. I was looking at the trivia later. I didn't notice this myself, but you can see Johnny Carson in the crowd at one point.
Wow. This is a documentary?
Yes.
Okay.
Was that not clear from what I said at the beginning?
Probably Crystal. It's maybe
it was found footage of the Apollo 11 launch that NASA had, and they have all the build up to the launch, and then of course they have some actually during the launch, and there was some film they shot while in the rocket and when they were on the moon too, that they found and put in the movie and everything. Wow. And so it's really interesting to watch just all their entire travel to the moon, all them like trying to look for a good landing spot on the moon, and like okay, we're down to 1,000 feet. Okay, now we're about to 300. I have one spot here. You could probably put it down. Okay, yeah, blah blah blah.
They didn't know exactly where they were going to land.
Don't
Holy
think so.
shit.
All that.
I think he even gets. Wasn't it Grissom that was piloting?
No. It's that. What's the guy's name? I can't remember the third guy.
The third guy we always fuck over.
Yeah.
Because on one of the From the Earth to the Moon episodes, they talk about like what an exceptional job that guy did landing it.
That's great. I thought all of that was super specifically.
No, I think he was doing it by sight right there at the end.
Yeah, it's Michael Collins is his name.
Okay,
but they didn't know exactly where they're going to land, and then just listening to Neil Armstrong as he's going out, and we've all heard the famous one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind thing, but hearing all the stuff leading up to him saying that very matter-of-factly, like when we hear it, it sounds like something that, it's an event. But in the middle of everything else he's saying, it just sounds like a normal. Now, obviously, he probably thought about that for a while.
Yeah.
And made sure he had some real good line to say. But still, he's sitting there doing very technical stuff. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to get off of the LM now. And
whatever. Just like almost monotone?
Yeah, I'm going to get off the LM now.
And
then he's like, there's a pause. And then he's like, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And then he goes on through some more shit, just some more stuff that he's talking about. Like, I'm looking out here. It's a great, it's an awesome atmosphere. We're all alone out here, blah, 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 all these things. And then Buzz Aldrin comes out and he says his thing. And they're discussing the texture of the moon as they're walking on it. And just there's a lot of like cool little things in there, like the images from their ship looking back at Earth, and just a lot of just really cool things. I can't recommend Apollo 11 enough. That's cool. That's just one of those things. You've never seen this stuff before. That's a seminal moment in human history. And there's footage that you haven't seen in it, and it's really good. And there's a lot of humor in it too. Like there's a point, and I read that this was actually on their way back, not on the way there, but they frame it as if this was on the way there. But the I guess the heart monitors or whatever of Michael Collins are in between reading and not reading, and they're like, will you adjust those and everything? And he apparently he does something for them, and he puts it back on, and they're like, oh yeah, we saw the spike and everything, but it still seems like it's not working. He says something to the effect of, well, if I stop breathing, I promise I'll tell you.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of the footage is gorgeous. They cleaned it up, man. It looks like, it looks like something that was shot today. The only thing that tells you that it wasn't is just the hairstyles and the clothing and everything.
It's hard
like
to believe that there's so much footage that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Considering how much.
I'm sure there's something in the Blu-ray I haven't seen yet that showed how they came upon this footage. I haven't read the story about how they found it or anything yet, so I don't know how they did that. But it is kind of unusual. You would think that after 50 years, that would have easily been found and shown to the public and everything.
I love the guy on Apollo 12, the first guy off. His first words were, "Whoopee!"
They did a belly flop.
Yes.
Well, he was just kind of, I guess, floating down on the different gravity of the moon. But everybody was all like, "What's he going to say?" That guy did the one small step for man. What's this guy going to say? He goes, "Whoopee!"
Yeah.
That would totally be me, by the way.
Yeah.
This is how stupid I am. I didn't realize you're being serious.
I am.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am.
I didn't realize that.
No, that's because he was kind of a prankster. They were half nervous he was going to say something really inappropriate, and half wondering what deep thing he'd come up with to say, and he fooled them all and went, "Whoopee!"
I will say that this movie has made me want to go watch From Earth to the Moon.
Oh, it's so good.
I am not certain that I saw it when it first came on, and I don't remember if I saw it or not. But I know that after I watched this, I immediately cranked up the first episode of it and everything, and I was exhausted. But I was like, yeah, I definitely haven't seen. I don't think I've seen this, so I'm going to watch that series now.
Oh man, that is a who's who in who's worked with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Because you watch that and it's like, oh, that guy was in Apollo 13. That guy was in That Thing You Do. That guy was in Apollo 13.
Yeah.
That guy was in Green Mile. That guy was in That Thing You Do.
Yeah, that guy was in Bosom Buddies.
Because the dad from That Thing You Do, the first agent from That Thing You Do, Kevin Pollak is in That Thing You Do. They're all in From the Earth to the Moon.
Ah.
Anyway.
Yeah, because it came out 2 years after That Thing You Do, so it makes sense that people like Steve Zahn and all them are in it.
Yeah. You got another?
No Jonathan Sketch though, right?
I don't think Jonathan Sketch is in it.
Sketch.
Trying to decide, because I watched a really interesting documentary on Maria Callas, but I think I'm going to recommend the other thing.
Okay.
So Ken Burns, legendary documentarian that did Civil War, and he did baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recent podcast guest of the Moultons.
That's right. He is doing I believe it's 8-hour, maybe longer documentary on country music.
Ooh.
And it's coming out. In fact, it just arrived 2 weeks ago as you listen to this. So 2 episodes have now aired. And from hearing about what he has to say about it, he said this is like one of his most fun things that he's ever done, like one of the most enjoyable documentaries that he's ever done. And you think about Ken Burns. It's Ken fucking Burns saying this. And he's super excited about it. And so he's amazing. I'm looking forward to watching it. But also PBS ran a concert to commemorate this at the Ryman Auditorium, this church of gospel and country music in Nashville, Tennessee. And it aired on PBS. And what it is essentially performances of the history of country music. Mm-hmm. Now, those of us who grew up in Nashville, a lot of us who grew up in Nashville, especially in the 80s and 90s, a lot of the people that I know did not like country music because during the 80s and 90s, country music really wasn't in the best shape that it was ever in. And so I've had a love-hate relationship with it over the years. And so I just happened upon this and I was like, maybe it was at the very beginning of it. And it was I forget the name of the Cowboys, but they were doing a performance of Tumbling Along with the Tumbling Tumbleweeds. And it was just this beautiful harmonic cohesion. It cohesed
nice
between the 5 of them. And I was like, all right, well, I'll stick around for the next one. The next one was like, a Dolly Parton thing. The next one was a Loretta Lynn thing. And the next one was a bluegrass thing with Marty Stewart and Ricky Skaggs, who were just amazing musicians. It ended up with Johnny Cash's daughter singing a Johnny Cash song. It was absolutely riveting. If you have access to PBS or you have it come on the TV or it's probably online actually, I would totally recommend, even if you don't like country music, especially if you don't like country music, this is an absolute riot. It's funny. it gives you a very good glimpse into the background of this city in particular, and the musical roots that came out of it. They talk a lot about the Nashville sound, and it is absolutely fantastic.
I will say that, and the only reason why I took this tour was because when the Maltons were here, we went to the Ryman. And we walked through the Ryman's tour of all the stuff, and I was like, this was fascinating history to me, something that I would have never probably gone on my own, but I'm so glad that I did, because the history is fascinating, and they've gotten this, they've got some serious stuff in there. Like they talk about the good and the bad and everything. And especially, who was it that they were going to have a concert for a black musician, and I can't remember. He's a famous one, and I just can't think of who it was. And there were all sorts of protests in Nashville, or there may have been protests in Memphis, and then they decided to cancel the one in Nashville. And then because there was enough, I think it was because there was enough pushback, he ended up still playing. But it was, I can't remember the full story, but it was another thing that I was like, wow, I didn't realize that was even something happening. And it's amazing. It made me feel somewhat prideful, even though I think there was still a lot of racist activity in Nashville at the time. He still played the show, even though there was this, all this nastiness going on. I definitely want to watch this Ken Burns thing.
Yeah, me too. I'm in, because I mean, the guy doesn't do anything that is half-assed. Like, he'll spend years and years and years and years on a subject.
Dude, that I haven't seen the Civil War one. I intend to, but I've seen his baseball, and I know that there are not many baseball fans out there probably listening to us and everything, but I'm a huge baseball fan. And that is some of the best stuff ever. Like, they play it on MLB all the time, and during the off season, and you just get wrapped up in stories that are on there.
Yeah, the guy can get amazing stories out of it. I mean, they played some of the documentary in this concert, and the stuff interviewing Dolly Parton about like how she was writing these amazing songs. She's writing Jolene, and she's writing, one other huge hit song like On the Same Day. But she was under the control of Porter Wagner, who was her manager, and her basically, like, she was part of his group back in the day. And they had an amicable relationship, and this is how awesome Dolly Parton is. Dolly Parton was like, all right, how am I going to get out of this? Like, I could keep talking to him, but he's not going to listen. So she sat down and she wrote a song. She wrote I Will Always Love You about Porter Wagner. And she was like, listen, sit your ass down. I'm going to sing this for you, and then I'm going to get out of this contract.
Wow.
And she did. He started crying, and he let her out of the contract.
Jesus Christ.
He wanted to produce the song, and he said, then you can go. And she was like, all right. It's just fucking awesome.
Jesus.
So that's just a snippet, like maybe a 5 to 7 minute snippet from the documentary already got me sold.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah. I got another record warn.
Yeah.
In that there's enough there you might enjoy it, but there's enough that didn't quite work for me that you might hate it. Mostly record warn means I kind of want you to see it, but I don't want you to be mad at me if you hate it. That's basically what I mean. This movie's called Rust Creek. Came out in 2018. No, you've never heard of it.
Shocking.
There are about 5 people in this movie that you will recognize. That guy was on that one episode of NCIS.
Yeah.
The main girl, do you remember in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation where Tom Cruise goes into a record store to get a Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
She's the girl that works in the record store.
Okay, yeah.
So she's the main lead here. She has told her parents she's staying at college for Thanksgiving. She has told her college friends she's going home for Thanksgiving. In reality, she's a goody two-shoes. She's going to a job interview because she's overachiever.
Okay.
Car breaks down in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. A.K.A. Rapist County.
Oh, no.
2 redneck come by in a truck. They go from offering her a ride to go get the part, but she's a little skeezed out. No, I'll just stay here, thanks. Then dude tries to, like, pull her pants down. Broad daylight, by the way. This is how remote the area of Kentucky we're in.
Okay.
Cell signals don't work. This is where we are.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So she manages to, she has a knife or something, stabs the dude. He keels over, and she runs off through the field into the woods.
Okay.
She is found by yet another woods-dwelling redneck who takes her back to his trailer and chains her up to the wall.
Oh, my.
And he keeps saying things to her like, I'm protecting you. Those guys would hurt you. She's like, well, why do you have to keep me chained up? And he's like, basically, long story short, they work together. The two would-be rapists and this guy make meth.
Oh.
And who do they make it for? The sheriff of the county. Who's in on it? So this is your basic, she's kidnapped. He keeps saying he wants to help her. And then over the course of a few days, he decides to teach her how to make meth. Then she's making meth with him on the regular. They make
Still chained?
Couple bad. No, she's not chained anymore.
Okay.
But she doesn't run away.
Okay.
It's a weird movie, but it's gorgeous. Again,
Really?
The cinematography is great. As I was researching to talk about this movie, I discovered it was produced by a company that has pledged to do whatever they can to hire females in key filmmaking roles. So the director of photography, all females on this. And in the end, that guy really was trying to protect her and does try and help her avoid getting murdered.
Mm-hmm.
An hour and a half went by like that, and I didn't really see the time go by. It was gorgeous scenery. I didn't really know where it was going to go.
What's the Warren part of this? It sounds like a pretty good movie.
I don't think it's all that great.
Yeah.
I don't think the acting is all that great. At least with the sheriff and the redneck people. The girl's fine.
So she's a Jessie type of thing. Like she starts to enjoy and she's good at making the meth.
Basically, this guy doesn't even have a car.
Okay.
So the plan, according to him, is when these two idiots out here who have a truck, they're going to go do some run on Saturday. I'm going to go up, take the car, and I'll take you across the county line to the cops, and we'll get you help.
Okay.
That's what he keeps telling her. And so it's basically this, if she wants to survive, she plays this waiting game of, he even says at one point, you can go running off into the woods again if you want, but you're going to be no better off than you were the last time because we're too far from anywhere for you to get anywhere. So yeah, she she goes from captive to meth cooker. And then people start shooting and leaves, stream, water. I enjoyed it. I want you to watch it. I don't want you to be mad at me if you hate it.
I'm kind of interested in it.
Yeah. I can get down for one of those movies. I mean, this is a common thread of people taking the wrong turn.
There you go. Wrong turn.
Yeah.
Wrong turn. They are in production on another Wrong Turn movie.
Are they now?
I have read it as the sixth. It's another sequel. I have read that it's a reboot of the original.
Really?
And I honestly don't care as long as they make another one.
Yeah.
Is it 6 or 7?
7.
7 would be the next one, right?
Yeah, I think
they've
so.
done 6. Wow. 6 is good.
I just watch them. I don't count them.
6 is good.
6 is good.
Yeah. Do we want to do some questions?
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I'm listening.
Yeah, let's do some questions.
I have one that was emailed to us.
Ooh,
This was
are the
emailed.
best.
I was rewatching The Lobster a few nights ago.
Ooh.
Have you seen this movie, Jeremy?
No, but I understand the premise enough to be able to answer the question.
Gotcha. I was rewatching The Lobster a few nights ago. It somehow became institutionalized as my partner's and my go-to anniversary movie for the past few years.
Yikes.
I have it's a fun movie. I have a few ideas, but I'm wondering if you all have ever come to a consensus on what animal no one wants to be. What animal does no one want to be?
I'm wondering, does it require knowledge of the movie to
Not
know
necessarily.
that?
It just prompted the idea for the
Yeah,
question.
So the premise of the movie, without spoiling, is basically that if you don't find a love partner, you turn into a lobster.
You turn into the animal of your choice.
I believe
think.
so. Yeah.
It's an animal of your choice, and so before you go into this thing, you have to tell them what it is that you want to be.
And he chooses lobster.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this movie's insane. I love it.
Yeah.
It's one of those where the logic of the characters is just so off that it's funny because of it. They do play it so straight.
Yep.
I think at the beginning of this movie, I can't remember who it was. Is it Frances Conroy? Somebody like that is driving down a road, and then she pulls out a gun and just shoots a cow. I think that's at the very beginning of it, and you're like, why the fuck did she do that? But I actually picked cow.
Yeah.
The first off, I mean, not that cows really worry about this, but if you were human and became a cow, you sleep upright.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
And then when it's time, then it's going to be time for you to get slaughtered. You're going to see all your friends get slaughtered in front of you, unless you're number one. And
You kind of want to be number one.
yeah, kind of be number one in that.
In the meantime, Chris Farley's going to come tip you over with Rob Lowe.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the way things go.
Cow tipping?
Oh, and
Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
With Rob Lowe.
He takes Rob Lowe out cow tipping.
Yeah.
Oh, not David Spade. It's Rob Lowe.
Yeah, that's David Spade.
Yeah, because they're trying to be brothers and
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But then, and also if you're, I mean, maybe you just become full-blown cow and you don't have your human thoughts and everything, but you eat grass too.
Yeah.
You eat grass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to be a cow.
So you're talking about an American cow, not like those fancy fucking like Kobe cows that get massaged
Right, they get
and
all
beard and all that shit.
right. Yeah, like if you wanted a way to go, that would be the way to go.
I don't want to be a cow.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but I chose hummingbird.
Why is that?
Because I love hummingbirds. I put a feeder out every year. I like to watch them. They are fucking fascinating creatures. But ultimately, their lives boil down to they're basically a creature version of like the stupidest machine ever built. Have you seen that thing where like a human flicks a switch and then a hand comes out from the box and flicks the switch back the other way? It's like a redundancy machine. Have you seen that?
No.
That's what hummingbirds are, because the only reason they eat so much is so they can sustain, so they can have the calories they need to burn to fly the way they do.
Yeah,
and
their
move their wings
metabolism
as
is
fast as
insane.
that. If you ate as much as a hummingbird just based on like calorie ratio, you have to eat, I look this up, it's like 274 cheeseburgers a day. So a hummingbird is eating so that it can fly, so that it can get to the food, so that it can eat, so that it can fly, so that it can get to the food, and it just never ends.
Wow.
And I think that's got to be one of the most annoying cycles ever. If I'm a hummingbird, I'm down there for like my first morning sip, and I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to come back here 300 more times today before this day is over. I think that would just be monotony defined. Mm-hmm. Like I never worked at a factory because I always thought I would go insane doing the same thing over and over for 8 hours a day. Imagine being a fucking hummingbird.
Yeah. I like yours.
By the way, it was not Frances Conroy. It was Jacqueline Abrahams, who is credited as donkey shooter.
Donkey shooter.
So she shot a donkey at the beginning of it, not a cow. But I knew it was a farm animal or something of some sort. And it only becomes apparent why she shoots him later on.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, donkey's a bad one too, right?
Yeah,
because all your like nobody cares about. Even Tom Waits and Buster Scruggs didn't give a shit about his donkey.
Yeah,
like you get packed down stuff and like you have to go across rough terrain.
People call you ass.
People call you ass.
Right.
I mean, what the hell? That's why Eeyore's like so depressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, that's not my answer. But donkey is a bad one. My answer is goldfish. Because have you ever had a goldfish?
Yeah.
Okay. You remember, because goldfish typically are given to kids to take care of. And those kids typically, from my experience, will love the fuck out of that goldfish for like maybe 3 days. Mm-hmm. And we'll feed them and we'll talk to them and stuff like that. And then they just kind of like grow apart.
Yeah.
They forget about the goldfish. And so you as a goldfish are like, oh, hey, somebody cares for me. Like, I've got a nice little environment. People are talking to me, or this guy's talking to me, this girl's talking to me. And then all of a sudden, the food starts getting a little sparse, and then the love starts going away. And then you're just sitting in a bowl or like one of those little square aquariums with a little plant, if you're lucky, and loveless and foodless. And then you die, and then you get flushed down a toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not alive for that part.
Yeah, but maybe there's some circuitry still
also
going on.
pretty low in the life expectancy for goldfish, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think the average goldfish lives for 3.5 days.
Yeah. people are always trying to swallow you and shit.
Yeah.
Or
take you in their mouth and out their nose.
Yeah. The life of a goldfish is a rough one.
Yes,
that's
it's fraught with peril.
Fraught with peril.
The night is dark and full of goldfish.
Who was the girl that was all whacking off out in the woods?
Miley?
No.
Heather from Blair Witch?
Well, there was Rachel Weisz.
Who was the leader of the resistance?
Rachel Weisz?
No. The one, was she out in the woods?
Yeah.
I thought he met her in the facility.
I thought she was the main.
It was Lea Seydoux.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lea Seydoux.
Lea Seydoux.
What are you talking
I thought it was
about?
Tilda Swinton. The resistance of the facility that makes people couple up are anti-coupling and anti-fucking.
Oh, you
So-
went back to The Lobster.
The Lobster, yeah.
No,
So they go out in the woods and they listen to their house music and whack off.
I was like going through all the Rachel Weisz movies in my head, like Chain Reaction.
No, I for some reason thought she was the one, but yeah, it is Lea Seydoux.
Yeah.
I think you would like The Lobster. I think you might like it. It's insane and it's weird, but like, you know how The Favorite's weird and you didn't like it because it wasn't historical?
Mm-hmm.
This is just a modern day thing.
I think I can enjoy that.
Yeah, and so like if you go in there realizing that these people are really pressuring themselves to get into relationships and looking for the dumbest reasons to get in them, then you'll have a good time.
She smelled like soup.
All right, here's the next one. What is the best movie with the most uninteresting premise or the least interesting premise? I will steal Jeremy's answer and say Locke. Very good one. Where a guy has to solve his problems, many problems, by making several phone calls. I like this question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's good. Because we've answered questions like, what movie is totally bad that we enjoy, or there's a lot of in that vein of everything. But there are very few movies, I think, that have an uninteresting premise when you write it out that actually turn out to be really, really fun. And the one that I picked was The Informant.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Nice.
it's about price fixing for lysine. And and to be fair, the trailer itself made fun of this whole how like unexciting it was. They were like, "Hey kids, here's a movie about corn," and they're like, "Yeah, corn." But yeah, it's about a whistleblower. I mean, think about this. This is about a whistleblower at a company who realizes that they're colluding with others to fix the price of lysine. And he calls the FBI. Now, the interesting part is Mark Whitaker. Mark Whitaker is such an insane person in this. He ends up, he believes that if he whistleblows on this company, that he'll be able to be ascended to the company's president. He doesn't think that he's culpable in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think the landscape's going to change a little bit for you.
and he thinks, and so like, the movie itself probably wouldn't be all that interesting if it wasn't for the great narration that's in it, and for the fact that Mark Whitaker is constantly just shooting himself in his own foot the entire movie, and thinks that he can get away with certain things in a very amateurish way. Scott Bakula ends up being like one of the best parts of this movie. It's like, because there's a part where he's still trying to get through that lie about like, he's what is the one about they changed the zip codes and like the zip code's wrong on the letter that he sent, and then
area code.
Yeah,
It's
the area code, and he's like, well, it must have changed. He's like, we looked into that too, Mark. And it didn't change, and it didn't change. It changed like 20 years ago or some crap like that. It wouldn't have, or it changed 3 years later or something like that. It wouldn't have been in effect back then. And then he just keeps saying, but this and that. And he's like,
it even does like his internal monologue. You can hear him like stop and start rebuttals. And why did Dr. Gregory sign off on it?
And then he's just like, just Scott Bakula is just like, Mark, you need to stop lying.
He's really good. What was the Star Trek that he was in?
Enterprise.
Enterprise?
He was the captain of the the Enterprise back before Kirk's era.
Oh, okay.
That's where that was set.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
Yeah, he's sneaky good in like American Beauty.
But I know the theme song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wasn't the theme song for that show like a pop rock hit? I'll go wherever you may
Which show?
Enterprise?
That was Enterprise's song?
I think so. Look up Enterprise's opening.
Holy fuck. No wonder that show didn't do well.
I'm pretty sure I may have the song wrong.
You probably don't.
Back in the day when I was not
Russell Watson, Faith of the Heart.
Okay, I got it wrong.
Yeah, Faith of the Heart is performed by Rod Stewart.
Hold on a second.
Down low.
This is probably going to have to be...
I'll go wherever. What show is that the opening for?
Is that it?
But that's still a shitty opening, even though that's not the song I thought it was.
It sounds like Discount Bryan Adams or...
Well, it's Rod Stewart.
Oh, it's Rod Stewart? For real?
Yeah.
Is it really Rod Stewart?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Oh, I would have never guessed. I canceled him out. I didn't think it was Rod Stewart.
This is weird, like circular logic where Discount Bryan Adams is Rod Stewart and Rod Stewart is Discount Bryan Adams.
Oh fuck. Anyway,
good call.
Yeah,
Informant.
What
What
do
you
you
got,
guys?
Jeremy?
What?
Best movie, least interesting.
I wrote
premise.
down The Social Network.
Yeah.
Because again, when that movie was announced, I laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed because somebody was going to make a movie about the founding of Facebook. And I thought it sounded like the dumbest, most boring shit ever. And it did all the way up until I watched it. And it's riveting as fuck.
Yeah, it is.
But essentially, it's basically a guy computer coding and fucking over his friends. I could write a log line for that movie that would read so boring it would make you sleep. But the movie's not. Mm-hmm. And I also wrote 12 Angry Men because then you could just say a jury debates a robbery case. Was it murder or robbery?
I think it was murder. Well, it was a killing.
Yeah.
I think it may have been like
over the course of 8 hours.
What was this?
12 Angry Men.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a murder because they're talking about knife.
Yeah, there's a knife. Yeah.
Yeah, all that.
So again, I think watching a jury talk sounds pretty boring.
Yeah.
But that movie, even every time I've seen the original version of 12 Angry Men twice. I've seen the Jack Lemmon version once. But every time, even when I started, I'm like, oh, this is going to be boring.
Yeah,
but then it never is. It's always riveting.
Kinetic.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Pop, 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 pop.
I got an Aaron Sorkin movie, too.
Ooh.
But mine is not, by the way, I almost convince myself every time that Moneyball was directed by David Fincher. But it's Bennett Miller.
Yeah.
Who's only done like 3-4 movies.
It is Sorkin that wrote it, though.
Yes.
That's probably why it feels so much like a Fincher film.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not really shot like a Fincher movie because it's a lot more atmospheric, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike Chris, I'm not a huge baseball fan. I'm a Cubs fan, but I don't usually seek out like random baseball games and watch them. What?
I have just found that the Calling song, Wherever You Will Go, they used it to promote. In 2001, UPN Network used that song to promote the debut of Star Trek Enterprise.
So it wasn't the theme song. It was
the trailer.
The trailer. I got it.
So I'm not totally crazy. That was worth interrupting you for, I think.
Okay.
I agree.
But Moneyball is a book by Michael Lewis.
Yeah, Michael Lewis.
And it was critically lauded when it came out. It was about Billy Beane and the Oakland A's and how they could basically build a small market team based on next gen stats, essentially. Instead of looking at batting average and ERA and all that stuff, or like, hits and things like that, you go a little deeper and you could find these advanced metrics that would teach you how to make a better team, have them cohese with the right type of players.
Mm-hmm.
Even more boring than The Social Network to me. It looked like, Brad Pitt gets attached to it. He's, at the height of his fame at this point, really. Jonah Hill, who at this point had only been a comedic actor, I think, was attached to it. Looked interesting. And, of course, it got rave reviews when it came out. And plus, Aaron Sorkin basically signed me up for whatever he's doing. And I think Steve Zalian actually wrote on this,
I think they
too.
were, co-writers.
And the first time I watched it, I'm absolutely floored. This movie is fucking awesome. Jonah Hill is really the standout in this movie, I think.
Yeah.
He gets on base. Do I care if it was a walk? Points.
Yeah.
You do not.
One of the failings of the book, and therefore the failings of the movie, is that they don't discuss pitching very often.
Yeah.
In fact, people like Tim Hudson and Barry Zito and Mark Mulder aren't even mentioned. They're like,
who were legendary in that time.
Exactly. They were as responsible for their success as any kind of on base. In fact, I don't think they even, and not that this is the point. A lot of times people construe this as the point, but the A's, I don't think, were even one of the best hitting teams that year. But the failing of the book is mainly the just not focusing on pitching at all in it and everything. The main, the bad criticism of the book comes from people who are like old school baseball guys who are like, no, you got to do all this thing the right way and blah, blah, blah. And you got to bunt runners over and shit. And, it's, and that can be fine. Sure. But like they would always say, what is it about this Moneyball? They get angry at it for no reason.
Yeah.
Talk about old man yelling at cloud.
Yeah,
think about
people still get mad at this.
This is why the site Fire Joe Morgan was made.
Yeah.
which what's his name, Michael Schur, and a couple of other writer buddies started back in the day. That's a good one because and they couldn't possibly adapt the book as it was either. It wasn't like there was this exciting drama going on in the book. They were just going over what they were looking for and what players and why and all that.
And there's no huge drama in the movie itself necessarily. There's a little bit of a family dynamic with Billy Bean's character or Brad Pitt's character. And, there's obviously some tension with an old school manager, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character.
Yeah, Art Howe.
Do what?
Art Howe.
Art Howe, yeah. And there is some really great, which I assume probably happens, really great manufactured drama where Billy Bean is telling Jonah Hill's character how to cut a guy.
Yeah.
And, don't offer him any explanation. Don't give him this. Don't give him an in for that and that kind of thing. Just tell him you're cut. That's about it. And he fucks it up so spectacularly.
He fucks it up before that because Billy Bean is like, my kids are in school. And he's like, oh, well, you don't want to take them out to the end of the school year. Definitely leave them. And Brad Pitt's like, what are you doing? I love this. This movie has been running a lot on AMC lately. I'll watch it even with commercials. But it's on Stars, I think, too. And the scene that I can't leave the room for is so small. It's when they go to Chris Pratt's house to recruit him to play first base, Scott Hatterberg, and he takes that coach with him who's like not buying it. And so like Chris Pratt asks about I've never played first base, and Brad Pitt's like, it's easy, and tell him, and the guy's like, it's hard. And then later he's like, I'm gonna be replacing Giambi. What about the fans? And the coach guy goes, yeah, maybe we can get one of them to play first base. It's really funny, and I think that's what propels it and makes it so viewable.
Yeah, that coach is Ron Washington, who's a current third base coach for the Braves, and he was the manager for the Rangers when they went to the World Series.
He managed Washington too, didn't he?
No, he didn't. The only time he was the manager of an entire team was the Rangers, and they went the 2 years in a row. They lost to the Giants and the Cardinals in the World Series, mainly because of Nelson Cruz. But that is funny because it's like because it's easy, and he's like and I think. Doesn't Hatterberg say something like it is? And he's like, is it easy? I thought it would be hard. And he's like, it's incredibly hard.
It's incredibly
hard. That's something I got to watch again. I love this movie so much.
By the way, is Robin Wright, she's his ex-wife in that movie, right?
Yes.
And she's in one scene that lasts for 3 minutes, and it's mostly her husband talking to Brad Pitt.
Isn't it? Well, she's on the phone with him a few times, right?
Yeah, she's not in it much.
She's on the phone with him. Most of the time when he's on the phone, he's talking to the daughters.
No, it's very limited.
It just seems like I wonder if there weren't a lot more scenes with her that got cut.
Could be.
Because otherwise, why do you cast somebody that important for such a throwaway role?
Yeah.
They made the anti-Moneyball movie a couple years later called Trouble with the Curve.
Yes, they did.
What characters do you root for despite them making the worst decisions ever? This person says, I always root for Jeremy, even when he makes the worst decisions in the brackets.
Boom.
I have been roasted. I done been hoisted by my own petard.
Yeah. What do you think?
I actually wrote Mark Whitaker from The Informant here.
Oh, yeah.
Because he does just keep digging and digging and digging. But the real answer I want to give is we just can't avoid talking about Eyes Wide Shut on this show. But what I've always said about Eyes Wide Shut, which is a movie that I have not watched and enjoyed yet, maybe one day I will, was that the ride was riveting. I was let down hugely by the ending. But all of the choices Tom Cruise makes, while counter to the way I live my life, he makes bad choices all movie long, one after another and I'm there. Like I want it to work out for him. I know it's not gonna, but I want it to.
It all takes place over 2 nights, right?
I think so.
First night is the ball, the Christmas party, and then they have sex, and then the next day is when they're smoking pot, and he gets angry, walks out, finds Nick Nightingale, and it's all in the same night that he goes to the orgy and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But the amount of somebody has done this. The amount of money that he spends in this is ridiculous. Where like he's got the cab and he goes all the way out to fucking like Long Island or something like that, and he's got like the $100 bill and rips it. And
the funniest thing about his trip in Eyes Wide Shut is him showing his doctor's license like it's a badge.
It actually, so that does happen on one night, and then the next day is when he goes to Alan Cumming and all that stuff, and finally, do you think in your world that movie would be better if it ended on the mask in the bed and that breakdown?
Maybe,
because really the only thing after that is the coda in the toy store.
Honestly, I feel again. I have not watched the movie start to finish in probably 10, 15 years. I want to because you've raved so much about it, and I've come to love so many other Kubrick movies. Kubrick. I'm never going to get it right.
Although I'm pretty sure that there's other people out there who say the Kubrick.
Yeah, Leon, whatever his name was in that Film Workers. Kubrick,
so, and maybe Kubrick is right, but I've heard only in trailers for, when they're from the mastermind, Stanley Kubrick. I've never heard Kubrick, but anyway, it's either way.
Well, my point is, I feel like that's a difficult movie to stick the ending on because it goes to so many fucking weird places.
Yeah.
And I used to write these scripts with my friend Josh in college. We would go to this all-night diner, and we'd sit across from each other, and we'd have a college notebook, and we would write sketches, little vignettes, SNL-type sketches. And we would do it by alternating. One of us would write the opening line and slide the thing to the other guy, and he would write the other guy's line and go back and forth. When we would get frustrated, which happened a lot if the scene didn't go the way I wanted because Josh took it in a different direction, when it got to me, I would just write my character to say, fuck all that. And then I would hand it back to Josh, and that was how we knew that script is over, we're moving on. I feel like Kubrick got to the end of this movie, and he thought of all the different endings he could, and he just went, fuck it, let's just end it.
That sounds like Kubrick.
You're right, though. He does make all of the worst decisions, starting with, not only, like that night, he's like, well, I'm playing this party. He decides in the middle of the night already, I'm going to get a costume and drive all the way out to this orgy party which I know nothing about.
Do you think, I think this is from stuff that I've read, I don't know if they've made this particular point, but do you think he's motivated by status, trying to go to these, because while he's a very wealthy doctor, he's not invited to this thing. And he is actually constantly reminded when he's going to parties and things that he's actually one of the poor people in his circle.
Sure. Yeah. There's the Sidney Pollack character is a whole upper echelon that he can attain even as a wealthy doctor.
And whereas it's not so much that he's driven by horniness to go to these places, he's more driven by I want to be invited. I want to be in there with everybody. I want to be in the room where it happens. That type of thing.
Yeah, it's FOMO. It's fear of missing out.
Yeah,
but it's. I think what my take on the movie has always been less horniness and more jealousy, pure jealousy. Because he can't
is thinking about that all the time.
That image out of his head.
Yeah.
And I've had this happen to me where somebody has cheated on me or something like that. You can't stop thinking about that shit. Like it's this psychic anguish. Now, I
It's
didn't seek
Closer.
out an orgy.
Where Clive Owen is like, tell me every fucking detail.
Oh my God!
Did he lick you? Or whatever.
Yeah,
he says all kinds of nasty shit.
He says
in that
all
scene.
kinds of nasty shit.
He wants every detail.
But
and that's
I think
bad.
he's consumed by jealousy, and that's why he's trying to get his jollies off in any way possible. I believe he goes to the prostitute before he goes to see Nick.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to get his jollies off then. Not, I don't think because he's horny, but to get back at her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure there's some sort of that status symbol that does hit home. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that scene where they're in the car and Cameron Diaz says, I swallowed your cum.
Yeah, I
It
know.
means something.
Yeah. And then he hangs off of a helicopter.
What's the question? Oh, characters you root for despite
Oh, yeah. Ron Burgundy and Anchorman. It's hard to. Ron Burgundy is he an awful person? I don't feel like he is. I feel like he's a guy who's sort of a caveman in the 70s, and he still has a lot to learn, and he's willing to learn. Maybe not totally willing to learn.
yeah, to a
But
point.
there is a point where he's realizing it's not the same as it used to be, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, he constantly, especially after he gets the whole thing where he gets hung up with Baxter and getting kicked off the bridge and all of that and everything, and he doesn't get to do the news and all that, and he and you know his girlfriend Christina Applegate gets to do it, and she should be happy for her.
Yep.
And everything. He shouldn't feel threatened, but then he's like, you know, why would you do that to me? You know, it's like, didn't we talked about this? It's like, yeah, I thought it was a joke. I thought you were being funny, you know, and
I even said it to Baxter later on, and I laughed again.
yeah. So like, he's constantly saying the wrong things and doing the wrong things, but you want him by the end of the movie to be a guy who has changed and everything. That's why Anchorman 2 is, I think, another reason why Anchorman 2 is shitty. Anytime you try to make a comedy out of a character who has supposedly had this arc of change, and then you have to try to drive him back into that one that we love in the second one.
Yeah, and you have to take it over the top and like the whole crazy offensive racial thing where
Yeah.
he's sitting down to dinner with his girlfriend. God
Right.
damn,
Yeah. That's why that should have never had a sequel, probably. I've said that about like Hancock, where like, you know, the character that we see in Hancock is not a guy we want to see change. We want him to be that same asshole all the way through. And that's why I'm glad there hasn't been one yet. There probably will be at some point, but how do you take the character from the one who's learned all his stuff and then just say, it doesn't matter anymore?
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like in a year, Peterberg's going to bring back Hancock 2, and it's going to star like Mark Wahlberg
Yeah.
and no Will Smith.
Yeah. Get his buddy in on it.
Well, they all look the exact same, basically. Jason Bateman and Will Smith and Charlize Theron.
Yeah, they do.
They basically look
Triplets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying that they look the same as they did back then.
They don't look the same as each other. They look the same as
Not
they
triplets.
did in 2004.
They haven't aged a bit.
I'm
You
way
can
off on that.
Duh, Barrett. You can de-age anybody.
Don't think you're that off. I think 2004 is right.
Yeah?
They de-aged the kids for It Chapter 2 because it was 2 years later.
By the way, I didn't notice that at all. Did you notice that?
It's 2008. What?
2008. Did you notice the de-aging on the kids?
On it?
Yeah.
No, not really.
I didn't even know that they did.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they wouldn't have had to done much.
Yeah. Okay. So, character I root for despite them making the worst decisions ever, Michael Corleone in The Godfather and Godfather Part 2.
Mm-hmm. He does make a lot of bad decisions, doesn't he?
Awful decisions, and like you root for Michael Corleone from the very beginning. I mean, he's shown to be the smart one. He's shown to be taking over the family. He's the rational one, right? Sonny's the hothead. Fredo's the weak one. But Michael is the Goldilocks. Like he's just right. No, he takes all the wrong lessons from his dad because his dad is all about family. He's all about I'm doing this to make sure that my family has a better life than what I did. And I think it's because he had that better life and he didn't have the whole immigrant backstory that Vito had, that he's essentially doing this all for himself. But he's doing it all for himself, but he gets himself twisted in all this, he's killing all the heads of the 5 families. It's not for his family's safety. It's so he can be a fucking big shot.
Mm-hmm.
He takes, he's being the godfather to Connie's baby. It benefits nobody, right? And then he kills the kid's fucking father.
Mm-hmm.
And in Godfather 2, he's got that whole Hyman Roth thing that it makes really not a whole lot of objective sense, except that he wants to figure out who hit him in his bedroom. So, yeah, I mean, you still root for him. You root for him all the way until Godfather 2, the end of Godfather 2. But, yeah, he makes some shitty decisions.
Yeah.
He
fucks everything up in part 2, man.
Yes, he does. He fucks, I mean, he's already fucked up his sister.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe the most, the tightest relationship he's got is with Tom, with Robert Duvall's character. He disowns Fredo and then fucking kills him. He never sees his mom, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, he's alienated his whole family. Kay's divorced him. He barely sees his kids. Yeah, I mean, God. Why do we root for this guy?
Yeah.
Look, that speaks to how well the movie's made.
God, this is my happy place. If you gave me one movie to watch, this is not a question, but if you gave me one movie to watch over and over, it would be The Godfather until I die.
Right.
Good stuff.
I would choose the Lorax.
Yeah. When it comes down to life lessons about consumerism and everything, gotta go to the Lorax. So that'll do it for this week. Go to Sincast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook, SoundCloud, Reddit, Cinemasins Twitter, Music Video Sins Twitter. A lot of places to find us. We can also go on Discord if you're not on Discord. You can go to Facebook and get a link. There's a lot of places that you can actually ask for a link, and we can give you one.
Discord it up. People are using that thing. You got a community.
I've gotten a pretty good amount of people who have come on Facebook asking for a link. Go to the private messages, and I can give you one. But yeah, that's good. 20, 30 people that probably have signed up through that very method right there.
And as of this posting, Strings is out tomorrow. September 24th.
Ooh.
September 24th. Get off your butt. Well, actually, you can stay on your butt. Click.
He's doing a Skeksis.
Go to Amazon. Go to the website. Click through the website, the CinemaSins website, and get you some Strings and get you some Ables. If you ain't read the Ables, if you haven't read the Ables, read the Ables first and then read Strings. You can even read the first chapter of Strings on the website right now.
Yes, you can.
That'll get you super horned up for the...
You fucking asshole.
Sometimes words happen. That particular take blew buffalo yogurt.
I like how, by the way, this minor discussion of the Once Upon a Time movie about buffalo yogurt has turned into a cum thing.
It'll get you excited for the rest of the book. Strings is spectacular. The Ables, we all know how good that was. If you haven't read it already, get it. But Strings will knock your socks off. Go get it. It's out on the 24th.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Share. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Man, you want to know how unlucky I am today?
Why?
I got to McDonald's at 10:29, pulled up, saw the breakfast menu, started thinking about what to order. Hi, can I take your order? Screens go black.
Oh.
Come back up, lunchtime. So I had to hit the brakes and order lunch when I was already salivating over delicious McDonald's breakfast.
I thought McDonald's went to 24-hour
Well,
breakfast.
they do all-day breakfast, but it's only like 6 items, and it's different at every location.
Oh.
So there's only like 3 sandwiches and I think like a McGriddle or some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But like once they go to lunchtime, my particular McDonald's doesn't sell the breakfast burritos,
Okay.
which I really like
Mm-hmm.
and would have gotten Had I gotten to McDonald's 30 fucking seconds earlier.
You should have done the falling down.
I thought about it. I thought about taking my Uzi in there and raising some cane, but then I realized I don't want to go to jail.
Haven't you ever heard of the adage, the customer is always right?
Look at that burger. It's juicy and succulent. I was watching Vanilla Sky last night, man.
Oh, yeah?
That is quickly becoming one of my favorite movies.
Really?
Yes.
I swallowed your cum.
It means something.
That means something.
It means something.
Cameron Diaz is so fucking good in that movie. Everybody is so fucking good in that movie.
Especially Penelope Cruz, because she's had practice.
Yeah.
Swallowing his cum.
Yes.
What?
Open your eyes.
Swallowing his cum.
No, she played the same role in both versions.
How alike are those two, by the way?
Enough that I don't really like Vanilla Sky. I stupidly went and saw Open Your Eyes first because I knew this is Cameron Crowe, peak Cameron Crowe.
Mm-hmm.
This is right after Almost Famous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my eyes, he can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jerry Maguire was rad, Almost Famous was an A++. I was geeked. I was like, oh, he's adapted the Spanish language film. I better go check that out so I have some kind of understanding. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And then I watched Vanilla Sky, and I like the Beach Boys thing, but it's really not enough different. It's really very similar.
Well, I haven't seen the original.
And extremely bizarre to see Penelope Cruz playing the same role in the same movie that is very similar, but everyone else around her is different. And then Jason Lee shows up.
I wonder what the thought was behind that, to have the exact same actress play the exact same part in the remake of the movie.
I don't know. They did it with James Earl Jones in The Lion King.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a different language, but sorry, that sticks in my craw.
It's so, well, I mean, up until then, he hasn't done anything wrong, right? Because he wrote Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He wrote Say Anything. He didn't. Did he direct that?
He wrote and directed it.
And then he did Singles, which okay. And then he did Jerry
Singles
Maguire.
Is great, you dick.
Yeah, I like all these movies that you're about to
No, I
mention.
love every one of them except for and Singles is good.
Yeah,
It's
I love
not-
Singles. And then all the way. Yeah, and I like Vanilla Sky. I don't think I ever saw Open Your Eyes. Which is weird, but I saw Vanilla Sky first, and I haven't seen Open Your Eyes. So, so I liked that too. And then things started going down because he had like Elizabethtown, and
that's not a terrible movie. It's not as bad as like Aloha.
Right. I remember it not being very good.
We bought a zoo.
Yeah,
I never saw We Bought a Zoo. Is that really just qualitatively bad? It seems like a weird Cameron Crowe project.
ScarJo's in it, so
yeah,
it's got that going for it.
Matt Day's in it too.
Matt Day.
Matt Day. Did you guys see the brand new Ford Ferrari trailer yesterday?
Oh no,
I haven't seen it. No,
it's good. It's good.
I'm kind of getting excited about that movie.
It's good. I have reservations, but the trailer's awesome.
You should totally watch Righteous Gemstones, by the way.
Yeah.
Have you started watching that at all?
I've seen the first 2 episodes. I haven't seen.
I did
the
watch
last
Leap
2.
of Faith again.
What'd you think?
I really liked it. I mean, I like I said, I've liked everything that McBride and Jody Hill have done. So
what
far,
I like about I wonder, because I haven't watched a whole lot of Eastbound and Down, and Vice Principals I haven't seen at all. I wonder if this is a common thread. Nobody in Righteous Gemstones is all bad or all good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though they're set up to be, like the Danny McBride character is set up to be a complete asshole.
Yeah, they're about.
He's not a complete asshole.
60% bad.
Yeah.
And 40% good.
Yeah, and every time that you find yourself just absolutely loathing, there's one part. The 4th episode is my favorite. The one that just aired is my favorite so far, because John Goodman is playing this oversized character that seems just completely selfish and domineering and asshole-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And he continues that arc, but he undercuts it, particularly in this 4th episode, where it's like, you know what? He's not a terrible person. He probably has some issues underneath all that stuff, but like circumstances kind of contribute to his behavior and everything. I love that. I really love that show because of that. Like, nobody's all the way this. It's like Euphoria. Euphoria was the same way, where like nobody was just one thing.
Yeah, I would say like Vice Principals, both McBride and Goggins in that are some shades of that. They're probably more good than bad in that, but they're still like it's 60-40 or something like that. It's always something like in that general area.
Yeah.
But in Eastbound and Down, I think he might be the only character that's in the entire thing and he's, I mean, again, 60% good, 40% bad, but like everybody else usually is super innocent in comparison. Like all the characters that are around him in Eastbound and Down are usually like the best possible, sweetest people. And then in Vice Principals, it's almost the same way. Like nearly everybody he interacts with outside of Goggins is like that.
You're going to love Goggins in Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah, but
he's about to come in. God damn, that show's fucking great.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad to see they're finally getting like a big, well, critically acclaimed show, because I don't know if Vice Principals was one. It may have gotten some decent
flew
play.
under the radar, though.
And Eastbound and Down had sort of a cult following, but I don't think anybody was like, it got 4 or 5 seasons though, something like that.
Yeah.
So it must have been doing something right.
Yeah. There's a Satanist character, or a former Satanist character in Righteous Gemstone that's maybe my favorite.
A reformed Satanist?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I will say no one does swearing like Danny McBride does, man. And it's so funny, especially in Vice Principals, because he's just walking around the school and he's like, you better get the fuck to class and all that, to students,
It's a fuck stick.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And there's a lot of dicks. There's more dicks, I think, in Righteous Gemstones than there were in Euphoria.
Well, I do love dicks.
Sign me up.
There's a lot of different types of dicks too, because in an episode coming up, there's this array of dicks, and one's like just kind of regular poking out, and then one's like a micro penis. Like you can't even see it. It's a big dude. You can't see it. I'm saying it looks like I'm excited, but I was kind of excited because I was like, you just don't see that represented on you want the big veiny two-handers.
The two-handers.
Do I?
Yes.
We've reached a portion of the podcast where Barrett is telling me what kind of dick I want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I was like, whoa, look, that's weird.
Big old fat dick. Little bitty stinging dick.
Yeah.
Sometimes dicks seem to come up from the ground.
You can saute them. You can
dick
ball
kebabs.
Oh shit,
Dick Scampy.
Dick Scampy. That should be somebody's porn name.
Yeah,
Dick Scampy. I love how we've gone so far off the rails and we haven't even started yet.
What is that movie? The Suffer Beatles. Suffer!
It's shit.
It's innocuously titled, I think.
It's like Rapturepalooza.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and Craig, what's his name is in it? And
fucking
Anna Kendrick.
And John Michael Higgins plays the dad, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's the dad. Suffer!
It's so fucking great.
It's worth just for those things. It's worth it. I will never forget. I think that's the first time I'd ever heard like a A or B level actor say the word "cum," like in a mainstream movie.
Oh yeah, and so nonchalantly too.
Yeah,
like this is something that I've been thinking about. Like this is something, this is like it's like you think about her at home and thinking about her relationship, right? And she's like, you know what? I swallowed his cum. Going over to watch people's films while they're asleep reminds me of there's a John Mulaney thing where he's talking about how in high school he went to one of those like big house parties and everything, and like and this was back in the day where he was drinking all the time and everything, and he said that everything, it was one of those kind of parties, stuff getting smashed, all that kind of thing. But there was somebody had stolen some photographs out of the house, and they're like, why would they want people like Granny's picture or whatever? Why would they want that? Why would they even bother and everything? And so like he didn't even think about it for very long. Didn't think about it much longer than that. It was just one of those weird mysteries. And then 10 years later, he runs into a buddy of his who was at that party, and he's like, come here, let me show you something. And he brings him into this room, and there in this guy's room was those people's pictures. No. And he goes, why would you steal their pictures? He's like, because that's the only thing you can't replace.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, that's fucked up.